Good afternoon, one and all. Welcome back to Racing Post Live, coming to you somewhere from the capital in England. This is the greatest Saturday racing show anywhere around. Myself, Dave Orton, back with you with our sponsors, Betfair Exchange. Of course, you're going to learn all about the exchange this afternoon. You're going to find out about the trades that we will be playing. We love to have a little play with the horse racing game. That's basically what we'll be doing. If you're watching on YouTube, welcome along, like and subscribe. Get your comments in below. We love the social media comments. Adore them on Facebook Live as well. Welcome along. If you want to mention anything on Twitter, it is hashtag RP Live. Who've we got on the panel for you then? Clarence House Day. We'll be giving 8 races. Ascot, of course, we'll be going up to Haydock. How's that on? Unbelievable scenes. But we do race at Haydock. Just seen the first race there. Remarkable effort by all involved staff-wise up there to get that on. And we'll be popping to Taunton as well at 2:10 for a marathon chase there. Just a small section of Yalenki trying to win the race again for Paul Nicholls. So it's a really good action on and a really good panel for you. Charlie Poste joins me back in the studio.
All right, Dave, yeah.
Oh, how's it going, Posty? All good?
All very good, yeah. Glad to be down here today. Got me a little day out, so yeah, it's really nice.
Happy to oblige you on that front.
Perfect.
Yeah, lovely, absolutely. So you'll be, I just said there, we're popping to Taunton. That's the first time we're doing that here on RP Live. We've had Tremor on the show. We've been to Cork. We've been to Catterick. We've been all over the place. And Taunton, proper West Country track. Pretty fair track, isn't it?
It's quite a sharp track, but I mean, fair. It takes a bit of jumping over fences as well. I mean, look, we've got seasoned campaigners in the race that we're watching, Yalenki and the like, so you'd be hoping they won't cause too much problems. But yeah, trappy little place to ride around.
Yeah, we'll be getting all the riding insights as we're going. Race reaction for you, of course, here from Posty. And we've got Ross Brierley back on the show as well. A jack of all racing trades, I think I'm going to call you now, because you're literally doing everything, aren't you?
That's it. Too much. Yeah, classic jack of all trades, master of none. But that's fine. As long as you get paid for all the trades, you're laughing, aren't you?
that again, as I said to you on these shows, we'll talk about your fee at the end, depending on performance. But one man that really likes to have you with the Betfair machine is Barry Orr. He's back with us from Dublin. Barry, welcome back.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are we all?
Happy days, yeah. Not too bad. We're getting through January, aren't we, Barry? Which is all good, and the racing's fantastic today. I asked you at the top of the show, just before we came on air, I said, what's the big Barry lay today? And you said, it's one of those where the shorties might just all go in. There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, there certainly is. There's obviously Politolog, none more so than him. A real exchange horse, I suppose. Plenty of people looking to take him on. You've Definitely De Soil in there, who's on a bit of a recovery mission. But like when you look at the likes of Yalenki and Taunton, and then in Haydock, a couple of short ones as well, none so more than Bouvier. They could all go in, but for the purpose of showing the functionality of the exchange, we'll be tricking around and showing how we can attack these races from different angles.
Yeah, great stuff. We're playing for charity as ever. Barry will be trading for charity. We're going all right for the Burrow 7 we've been doing all over the December and Christmas period as well. Check out burrow7.com. Rob Burrow in his fight back against motor neuron disease. Definitely a worthy cause. Really looking forward to that horse they've got as well, with Judd O'Keefe coming out hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And we've got a short one in the first, chaps, haven't we? Roxana lines up for Dan Skelton. And Magic of Light. Let's get the market up on the screen if we may. Magic of Light on a hat-trick in this race. But Barry, she was never going to be favourite, was she, with this Skelton rocket in the pocket?
Yeah, she never was, really, was she? She's although she's gone the same route for the last 3 years. She's won that Mares Novice Chase in Newbury, and then for the last 2, obviously she's won this race. But she's in against a proper horse here in Roxana. Interesting, she traded at 2.56 last day, Roxana, when she ran behind the 2 best chasers in racing. She's a good traveller mare as well. She got her £7 that day, her mare's allowance. She just couldn't really put it up to them. But I'm going to back Magical Light. I think it shows such a significant how, Jessica Harrington, she really is a creature of habit, and it's worked for the horse so far. So she's happy to come back and do it for a 3rd time running. I just thought she's £4 wrong with the favourite. She likes to get off in front. She's a phenomenal mare. She's 32 runs. She's 9 wins, 7 seconds and 5 thirds. So I'm going to back her. I think she's going to go off in front, and she could take a bit of pegging back, although she's just, for me, a value alternative at 6.6 to the favourite. So she is on the drift, Ross, so we can be a price maker here, not a price taker. And I'd like to have the 50 quid on her at 6.6. So that'll go in under the lay column, and we'll wait for someone to come in and back her at that price. So
It's Magical Light, yeah? Because I think it was Eglantine was just out to 6.6, but...
Sorry, Magical Light 6.2. Yeah, around 6.4. She should go out to about 6.6, I would imagine.
So how much on it, Barry?
We'll have 50 quid at 6.6, and we can reassess that before the race goes off. We've got a bit of time yet. But I think we could get matched on her because she is on the slide a bit.
Right old hot pot, isn't she? Charlie, you're sort of veering that way as well, aren't you, with yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Look, I mean, Roxana is a worthy favourite. I mean, the third last time in the long walk to Paisley Park and Time Hill is fantastic form. And in the beaten of Next Destination, the run before that at Wetherby stands up pretty well as well. So I'm not saying that I don't think Roxana will win. I just worry a little bit about the fact that she's a hold-up horse, as is Eglantine Dussel. And I just thought, Magic Light could have her own way out in front, and she's pretty talented as well, as we've seen. Like you say, won the last two run-ins of this, second in a national. She's a pretty worthy opponent, and I just thought the way the race might be might be run more to suit her than the favourite.
Yeah, I guess when you were plotting out this route, Ross, at the Harringtons, they probably wouldn't imagine that they're going to bump into a Roxana, but Roxana's taken this mare route. I guess if you're Team Skelton, you're thinking we want to get that confidence booster back into Roxana. Roxana not sure to line up at Cheltenham, of course, in the Stayers Hurdle there. Might look at Aintree or indeed further afield for that. So this is something of a penalty kick for Roxana. But the fact that Magical Light will crack on with John Joe Neal Jr. taking it away for the first time, where are you swaying?
I think we're all. We've got a triple penalty so far on Magical Light. I think everything. It's an almost too obvious play. The race will be run to suit, and we also have to mention that how much of a inconvenience it is to send horses over here now. You're not shooting bullets for a laugh over from Ireland for these kind of races. So I think the race will be run to suit. I think the interesting thing for Roxana is she always wins in big fields. We saw her behind Paisley Park. She was incredibly keen that day, and she had a fairly decent pace to chase. She might not. She's going to more than likely have an even steadier pace to chase here. So I think John Joe Neal, like Charlie said, will bounce out and try and make all the run in here. And the other thing to mention as well, I think, is I think Ascot is kind of underrated in terms of a proper course specialist track. Even Tritonic, who won the first, ran a blinder at Royal Ascot in the Golden Gate. So the fact that Magic of Light has won twice here, hopefully exactly the same thing will happen in the last couple of years, and she'll pop out and Roxana will be too keen and won't get by.
Yeah, there was a treat in the first race at Ascot for anyone that was watching that out there. Absolutely, as Ross mentioned, Alan King's got a proper Triumph Hurdle horse there in the first. Did you think that?
I thought it looked very good. I mean, what would have been even more interesting if people had been listening in would have been hearing you slag the back off Adrian Heskin and Alan King. A stayer on the flat, and what the heck are they doing riding it to help the pace? And
that's the first Kippering stitch up of the day, isn't it? Yeah, absolutely. I did back Tritonic actually. He's now 4th for that race. And listen, I'll tell you what, it looked like the runner-up of Gary Moore's Casalupi, who was backed, actually had gone. Moore won that with Goshen that opening race.
Yeah.
So the Triumph Hurdle needs to light up. I think it's starting to do that now. It's lovely to see these decent flat horses actually having a go. I mean, if you're housed at Alan King's, it makes sense you're going to do that anyway, isn't
99 rated flat horse going hurdling. I mean, you'd imagine even if he wins the Triumph, he's probably going to switch back for a flat campaign as well, but which is great, isn't it? And like you say, there was a couple of others, the horse of Richard Newlands, and that were
Vulcan and
high class flat horses that have been bought to stay
Punctuation. The Queen's gone to Charlie Longston for 100 grand. Yeah,
I mean, Punctuation is still one of the. I think Punctuation will probably fill its frame around 7, maybe 8 years old.
We watched that a lot on the show, didn't we? As a flat horse, got a huge knee action, so maybe wouldn't have been suited to going down under. But we want to keep our proper horses here, so it's great to see them winning. And did we see a Triumph Hurdle horse? Let us know. You probably saw that out there. It's went about 12 to 1, I imagine. Barry Orr's going to be giving us some anti-post moves and grooves as we go. We saw Allard fall in the first, didn't we, Barry, at Haydock in the race that that was on just to warm us up as we were coming on in the studio that we're not covering here. But there was a grade 2. Allard came down. I put him up as one of the dangers to Envoy LN potentially in the Marsh. Does that mean that Envoy LN has tightened up a bit now, Barry, for example?
No, I don't think so. He was a 10 to 1 chance for the Marsh ahead of that. I don't think there's been any significant change in the Marsh off the back of him falling today, to be perfectly honest with you. No, he's still around a 10 to 1 chance.
Okay. So Envoy LM, what did you make of that last Sunday as well? We'll get the panel's thoughts on that as well. It was pretty much just a sort of fitness exercise, really, wasn't it? After Asterion
it
Falange
was,
unfortunately
but
came down.
There's something incredibly great to watch about the way he races, as in he seems to have perfect rhythm, like he's never over racing, and his jumping, he's got the full repertoire, hasn't he? Scope, the ability to fiddle and shorten and be neat when he does it. And yes, you didn't learn a lot about ability. We know he's got stacks of ability anyway, but what you have seen is he's progressing very nice as a chaser with his technique from jumping point of view.
We've been spoiled, haven't we, by these 1-1-1-1-1 horses over the last couple of years in jump racing.
Well, I think what's fascinating about this year as well is the novice chasers are all, the horses who are progressing from novice hurdles are going for those novice chasers, and you're seeing a really nice progression. Your Monkfishers, your Shiskins, and you're seeing horses who are piecing together, like I said, really impressive portfolios, and they're still young, unexposed horses. So we've potentially got another 2 or 3 years of some really top class animals.
Yeah, absolutely. The Gold Cup division in a couple of years could be pretty exciting, couldn't it? Delighted to tell you that we've got some men on the ground today for us as well. Something we're looking to do on every show for you out there is go to our course reporters, which makes a lot of sense, doesn't it? So we've got Lewis Porteous, one of the main men in the business at Ascot for us. He's actually just messaged into me saying the ground at Ascot after the opener, Adrian Heskin, who won it on Tritonic, said it's soft, tacky and hard work. Is that a bit of a, I don't know, is that a sort of like, if you're a jockey and you get asked by someone like me shoving a dictaphone in your face, that's one of the go-to sayings, isn't it?
It is, but I suppose we are in a situation where Ascot is quite prone to getting like this as well, unless there's rain on race day. As in, what you're seeing is some frost in the ground as well at the moment, which tends to make it more sticky and gluey and a bit of drying weather. Like you say, it is a bit of a cliche and a bit of go-to phrase, but there is a lot of truth in it. As in, I think what they're saying is the ground is hard work, and you're going to need to stay well.
We've got Andrew Dietz on the ground up at Haydock as well, one of our leading reporters out there. So we're going to be going to them. We're going to be speaking to them at some point during the show. Up at Haydock, it's been when they had the 8 a.m. inspection. Sorry, Ross, you're pointing at your screen.
I was just going to say, do we want to check the bet because we haven't been matched?
Well, that is important. Shall we get the trade on? That's ever so important. Barry, do you want to revisit your Magic of Lights before we go and talk about the Haydock ground?
6.4 now at the moment. Move it down to 6.4. We should get done.
Actually, you've literally just got matched, as we've said that, Barry. So you're
at 6.6.
Yeah, just got matched at 6.6.
Yeah. All comes to he who waits. Happy days. So the Magic of Light.
Use patience.
If I hadn't have said anything, it would have halved in price. So we would have missed it. So
exactly. It looks like Eglantine Desai's coming in for a little bit now, of course, for former Cheltenham.
With the penalty, though, I mean, with the other two carrying a penalty, it does bring her into the mix. If you're looking at it purely from a figures point of view.
She's also in the grand scheme of things, an unexposed 7-year-old against a couple of horses who've been on the go for a few years now.
Well, they're not far from jumping off. I'll tell you what, we'll talk about the Haydock ground. We'll get Poste's what it's like to ride in snow. That's really what I wanted to get to him. It was blanketed this morning. The poor officials up at Haydock, 8 a.m. inspection on Thursday. It was $1 million to be on. Amazingly, we race at Haydock. Delighted to say that to you. But for the first time on Racing Post Live this afternoon, we're going to call the 1:15 at Ascot. It's a 2 miles 7 mares Grade 2 event. Small field, but a very select one at that. I'll hand you over to Ross Brierley for the call.
I was just thinking, Dave hasn't told me which races I'm calling today, and as ever, he's going to throw the first one as a curveball.
The more we do this, the more that pay packet comes closer to you, old boy.
Absolutely.
It's there for you.
No, that's fine. It's to be expected. But so only 4 runners here then as they line up. But I think everyone in the studio is hoping Magic of Light gets an easy time of it. But coded message might well make that not a reality here. But Magic of Light does set off in front. Coded message, Eglinton de Seal. And obviously at the back, as ever, held up, trying to settle, is Roxana. But as they head towards the first, it is Magic of Light who pops over that beautifully. No surprise, she's probably on muscle memory now for this race. Coded message in second, Eglinton de Seal back in third, and Roxana, as ever, she is fresh, she is keen, she certainly races a bit on her nerves, doesn't she, in these contests, and the main thing here is seeing what kind of fractions John Joe O'Neill sets out in front, because that's the key. He has to get the early fractions right if he's going to get Roxana beat.
Let's go to Posty then before we go and see what the market's like with Barry. So if you are now Harry Skelton, she looks to my eyes anyway that she's a little bit more settled than she was behind Paisley and Time Hill, and you're happy now that Coded Message, surely from a riding point of view, thank goodness something is actually keeping her honest.
Yeah, of course you are. I mean, look, she's one of those fillies that has a slightly awkward way of racing. She carries her head a little bit high, so she's always inclined to look possibly a little bit keener than what maybe she actually is. I think, though, if you're looking at it from a tactical point of view, it's always going to be a concern when you're riding a hold-up horse like this that you've immediately had to give 5 or 6 lengths away to a horse that, yes, Coded Message is following, but it's not like Coded Message is actually pressing Magic of Light to go quicker. And John Joe O'Neill Jr. really has perfect scenario now to dictate the race as he wants.
And a horse we know gets 4 miles in the Grand National. Let's go to Barry then, as they approach the home turn for the first time. Barry, any market moves? I guess Magic of Light must have hardened up a little bit, surely.
She has. She's into 5.2 from a pre-race high of 6.6. So we could cash out of our bet now if we wanted to for a profit of 11 quid. But I think we'll let it run. 1.56 Roxana and 6.6 Eglantine du Soy.
Thank you, Barry. OK, then. So back to Ross Brierley as they come into the home turn for the first time. She's not bested now. Has she had to work that a little bit too hard? We'll find out in a circuit's time.
I wouldn't. Personally, I wouldn't have said so. She's just doing what she does. She does best. She must, I would say, probably have the best record of any horse over 2 miles, 7.5 furlongs. As that's the exact distance of the Newbury race as well. She wins that. She wins this. She wins that. She wins this. So. That extra half.
Well, that's a record that we could give her here. You're not going to give it to her in Ireland, are you? You've got no idea what distances are running over.
Fair point. But as we come into the home straight, again, Magic of Light setting her own fractions. Code of Message just took a bit of that hurdle with her, but it's Magic of Light from Code of Message, Eglantine du Soy and Roxana. They haven't changed whatsoever with a circuit to go. But this reminds me a bit, in terms of the betting market as well, Magic of Light just shortened up a little bit, but reminds me a little bit of Song for Someone when he won over hurdles here early in the season. And the betting market actually was very strong on him, despite the fact that he looked like he had the race under control. And it wasn't until they turned into the home straight that the odds started to tumble. So if you have back to lay Magic of Light, you might still be biting your nails to get that lay back a little bit later on. But she is in front. Code of Message now just coming up to...
This is interesting, isn't it? Because
to
she's now
her,
taking her on.
Which is, we've all supported Magic of Light. It's not what we want to see. But I think, if anything, it's going to hurt Code of Message more because she's a big price to win this race anyway.
£18 inferior at the weights.
It was a big ask. And once you start using up that energy to try and get on the heels of one of your biggest rivals, it is going to start to take its toll. But Magic of Light is... hurdling absolutely
beautifully hurdling, isn't she, Posties? Nothing jumping better.
Nothing jumping better than her at all. I mean, you can see that she has spent plenty of time chasing as well, and she gives her hurdles plenty of air, whereas Eglantine du Soy and especially Roxana are very inclined just to sort of bend their knees and flick out over the top of the flights.
OK, so at the moment then, Barry, let's go back to you. They're around about 4 out, Barry, I think.
Yeah, she's into 7-2 now, Magic of Light. We can cash out of our bet for 20 quid, but Roxana moving up now, 156. They're not taking any chances with her in run. They know she's going to be delivered late. She's still hard on 2-1. 50 Coded Message, 10.5 Eglantine du Soy.
We're warming up then, the first race here on Racing Post Live. Great to have you with us. Let us know your big plays throughout the day. But of course, we are here for a valuable prize with the mares. Will this taking on from Coded Message and Magic Light set it up for the 2 closers? Ross Brierley, 4 to jump.
Yeah, well, the question you've got to ask yourself in running, isn't it, is that they have bunched up here. Is that because Magic of Light is starting to come to the end of a tether, or is this a perfect bit of getting a bit of air into Magic of Light's lungs from John Joe O'Neill Jr.? I'm inclined to believe the latter, but Code of Message on the outside of Magic of Light, who has pinged every single hurdle. Eglantine du Soy is not enjoying life, though. She's dropped to last as Roxana goes through the gears to move up. Code of Message still running an absolute blinder here. We'll be hopeful of some black type for sure, given the way the Nichols runner is going. But Magic of Light now off the bridle. John Joe O'Neill going through the gears. Code of Message on the outside. Roxana tucked in the van behind. Eglantine du Soy still isn't beaten, to be fair to her. She is coming back for a little bit more as Magic of Light now tries to shake off.
Must be going short now, Barry.
Behind.
Roxana. 3's on.
5-2 on, yeah.
She still has to go and do it though. Magic of Light, Roxana, Eglantine du Soy. Coded Message is up and down on one spot, but is still not beaten. Is still in second. Magic of Light in front, pings another one. Roxana, though, is coming there on the bridle. This is a much easier task than up against Paisley Park and Time Hill last time out. Magic of Light, though, still in front. Is Roxana going to go by? Magic of Light in front as they come here. Another lovely jump from Magic of Light, but Roxana breezes past, gentlemen, and Roxana has barely come out of second gear here. Woo. Magic of Light might get challenged for second. Eglantine du Soy and Coded Message are battling it out behind her, but she's still plugging on. John Joe O'Neill Jr., I think, has accepted defeat, but is still keen to get that second place. Roxana bolts up.
Yeah, that was a really nice turn of foot as well, Posty, wasn't it, after the last? So the one good thing that we've seen there, that the ground, unlike the first race where lots of juvenile hurdlers sort of fell in a hole, it was good to see a horse quicken on that ground.
It was. I mean, I'll be honest, I'd love to see the sort of sectionals. It looked to me at face value like they didn't go very quick. And Roxana, though, you've got to say, I mean, she's 9 years old, but she looks, I mean, better than ever. I mean, after winning at Wetherby, nearly a career best, I'd say, in the long walk. And then this was mightily impressive off a relatively slow pace. I mean, she's absolutely smashed them. And there's no getting away from it. I mean, she wasn't that far superior on official figures. And, I mean, she's gone past Magic of Light like she stood still and readily quickened away and done it very, very impressively. And it'd be interesting to see where they go next with her.
When Magic of Light won this race the last 2 years, she was the top-rated horse on each occasion. She's, I mean, if anything out there, you must be now be getting really excited for Ding Ding round 2 of Paisley Park and Time Hill. Right, Time Hill goes straight to Cheltenham Festival. We had that broken by Philip Hobbs here yesterday at the Post. Paisley Park probably going to take in the Cleve. What a stayers hurdle that will be if they all turn up. Let's hope Roxana now goes there.
Mare's hurdle though, or not?
It's a possibility, but I remember after she won at Wetherby, I did that race, and Skelton came out and basically said, you know, but he does this down quite a bit, Posty, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's not all. Unlike some trainers, it's not the be all and end all.
Not at all. I mean, like they have shown. I think we discussed it before, that by aggressively campaigning these horses, they have won a lot of big pots this year and a lot of graded races by, like I say, not making the whole season revolve around Cheltenham.
Yeah.
And to me, that's a pretty refreshing thing.
A lot of people will have that in multiples, of course, you know, as the race goes on. So hopefully you are set up. If you've gone for all those shorties, let us know. Get your selections in. We'll give you a shout out there, Ross. It was a pretty straightforward, uneventful call, really, wasn't it?
Yeah. Absolutely, nothing ever. I mean, Magic of Light has clearly run up to her level of the past couple of years. I think she's fought off the other two quite comfortably. She's been able to get on with it out in front. But as you said, I think that the Stayers Hurdle form is rock solid at the moment.
Yeah.
And she Roxana's probably done what she did last time out, but she just had inferior rivals to beat. So it was nice performance.
Hard to see anything toppling Paisley and Time Hill at this point. Although there's still a little bit of water to go under that bridge before March. We're talking about Stayers Hurdle there. Let's talk about the Supreme Novice Hurdle, shall we? By moving up to the 130 at Haydock. We've got a Grade 2 trial, the Rossington Main. A well-established trial. This I asked you pre-race. I asked you pre-race about what it's like to race in snow. Let's get that first. Before we...
Well, I've never ridden at St Moritz, so I don't know what it's like to ride natural snow, but I know what it's to ride when it's very cold.
It was blanketed at Haydock earlier, wasn't it?
The worst thing is if you were doing a lightweight today and you can't wear a lot of clothing, you just got a pair of tights and no top and thin breeches on, it can be pretty chilly, I can assure you.
We're not talking about racing, aren't we?
Hey, what you do at your own time is your own business, Dave.
Never
I don't want
Posty.
to know.
Never know who you post. Now, you've won a Welsh National, haven't you?
Yeah.
That was your big day in the sun. I think we could say that as a rider.
Yeah.
And we've got a favourite here that Ross was trying to practice the pronunciation of with his race calling involved. And we gave it a go, didn't we?
Yeah.
You called it Landborough. I called it Llandborough. But Posty,
I think it's a Clandinarbo lad.
Woo!
Beautifully done.
Unbelievable. Thank God Barry Orr didn't have to say that. But what price is the favourite, Barry?
The favourite now, Dave, is 2.78, so just 7 to 4, a little over 9 to 4 Manila Drama. I wanted to lay Manila Drama, but I was laying it at around 2.90, but it's on a massive slide now, so I don't know whether it's worth chasing him out. And Nada de Prada 6.6, 10.5, bar those three at the top of the bed. And yeah, Llandiblo lad, I thought he's a worthy favourite here, Dave. He's done nothing wrong. I know Manila Drama is £10 better off with him. But I think he's well up to it, Llandiblo lad, and Manila Drama now 3.2. I'm still gonna lay Manila Drama, but I don't want to go as high out as that. I wouldn't mind laying it around the 2 mark. So 3.0. If we could look to get 25 at the backer stake, please. In that, Ross, I'd be happy enough to lay it around 2 to 1. I don't want to go much over that to layer. I think it's a match between the two of them, and preferences.
Do you want to keep it, Barry, just in case we go in play?
Yeah, so we should get matched beforehand. I'm not going to bother keeping it because I might. We'll just see how the market develops, because I might back Llandiblo lad if we don't get matched at 2 to 1. So it's kind of much of a muchness, really, because I think it's a match between the two of them. So let's just leave it there for a minute, and we're watching brief for now.
A range of dialects on the favourite. I think we've had there. Haven't we?
Wait, if someone knows the actual answer, then
I had to look at the card when Barry was saying Lembro lad. I was like, who's he? I was like, I haven't got a clue. Clandinarbo lad.
As long as you call him out in front, Dave, you can call him what you like.
This is my call, is it? Okay.
It is. It is your call.
The one thing I was going to pull you up on, when you said, the Cheltenham pointers, the supreme novice trial, is it fair to say that it's unlikely any of these are going to be troubling the main protagonists at Cheltenham?
It's asking a lot, isn't it?
A trial in all but name, you're saying?
Look, there's some talented performers in here, but I feel it's unlikely you're going to see the supreme novice winner in this.
Well, let's have a look at who's won this. Stolen Silver. Couldn't really tell you much about who he is last year, but we have Mr. Fisher. First Flow, of course, who takes in the Clarence House Chase. Can't wait to see what he does in the last race here at 3:35. Neon Wolf has won this ASO as well. Cinders and Ashes.
Cinders and Ashes won the Supreme.
Yeah, you are. So he came out of nowhere. So Donald McCain, I do like Minella. He would be my idea. I thought that there may be a bit of a pace battle, but it looks like he's going to jump off Ross.
I really like this favourite. The figures he's been doing, the circuit times as well on these races as well.
Are you the same, Posty, yeah?
Really strong at the back end.
Do you like the Favre? Or?
I think he's very solid, but the prices, I think Nada de Prada could run well. I think she stays a bit further. She obviously won a listed mares race over this course and distance, and I think that could stand her in good stead. I think she's quite progressive in her own right as well.
I thought she'd lead because she's back down to 2 miles, isn't she? But it doesn't look like that's the case. When Clandinarbo Lad won his listed race here, do you remember there was a right pace burn up, wasn't there, up front? Flick on Voyo and the Do You Know Your Job? Know Your Job or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Do Your Job, yeah.
Do Your Job, there we go. We've got that. Michael Scudamores Best Horse, should have known that name. They got racing a long way out. He'll be lucky to get that scenario again, I thought.
Yeah, possibly. I thought this horse was unlucky to get beaten at Ascot. I thought Richard Johnson went through the gears way too early.
He got beaten by My Drogo, who will go for the Supreme.
And they think an awful lot of him. So
but
the Skeltons
he's
do,
the one, isn't he? I think of the Brits that could still have a big say in the Supreme.
Well, that
third time lucky, Dave, please. You know.
Oh yeah, sorry, Charlie. Of course, Charlie's horse, of course, third time lucky. Yes, if he gets through the Betfair hurdle, of course.
But that looks a really good phase of form.
He's out of it. Yeah. All roads lead to Cheltenham now, Dave. So,
wow. Yeah. Okay. I've had an absolute shocker. Says Robley in my ear, producer. Unbelievable. He had a shocker earlier, let me tell you.
Barry, what do you want to do with your bet?
I think we're going to cancel it, Ross. Sometimes you're better off just sitting out. You don't have to chase a price out. I thought he was a lay at 2-1, but I don't want to lay him at 5-2 out around that mark. There has been money for Nada de Prada as well. So I think we just sit this one out. We don't have to get involved in every race. I just wanted to show the functionality of the exchange, that you don't necessarily, you don't have to chase a price out for a horse.
Yeah, indeed. Again, let's advocate safe gambling. It seems the time to do so. You don't have to play in every race out there. Of course, we're just showing you what you can do. If you're doing it small stakes, we want to hear at the end of the day, of course, enjoying yourself, because it's the Clarence House at 3:35. So much to talk about coming up to that. Get your social media comments in. Who wins? Politolog waiting patiently? Will Defi Desoy bounce back, or will the First Flow come and spoil the party for the lot? Cannot wait for that. A stagnant division, it was called the 2 Mile Chase division this week. I'm not having that whatsoever. It is alive, and I think we're going to see the Champion Chaser coming back out in Politolog as well. Everyone forgets, don't they, that he has won the Champion Chase last year. It's ridiculous. John Hells came out in the week post and he doesn't get the recognition he deserves. Is that true?
It is true. He's a supremely good horse. I mean, we've been spoilt by a lot of absolute champions in recent years, Altior, Sprinter Sacre and that, but he's a very worthy horse, and he's looked better than ever, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Champion Chase, Tingle Creek.
Can't wait to see him out at 3:35. OK, we're going to run off, though, right about now, off and running then for the second race here on RP Live this afternoon. It is the 1:30, and Manila Drama bursts on into the lead. Something of a curveball, that. When he won at Bangor, absolutely hosed up on his second start. On his second win, I should say, he was up there throughout, but I didn't think he would lead. They want to get on with it, though. Of course, Sam Twiston Davis with Brian Hughes down at Ascot for the waiting patiently right on the inside from Clandinarbo Lad. So glad Posty was in about this. I think we would have been calling Landborough Lad, which is absolutely a shocking pronunciation. Let's not even go there with Barry Orr's pronunciation, but he is sitting in second. He's a little bit keen. Favre. That's another one for you. He is Team Skelton, which again, they've got a line through these lot with My Drogo. It's an important runner for them, one of the outsiders of the pack. Anything for Love, the Catterick winner, who we saw over Christmas here on the show. She came out and bolted in mares. She got, again, a little bit shorter in the market than I thought she'd be. Prominent, tactics were adopted that day, not today, right out the back. And Nada de Prada, again, looking on from rear, having won over a little bit further last time on horrible ground. Ross Brierley, who would you want to be on after the first couple?
Well, I wanted to be on Llandin Arbo Lad beforehand, and I'm sticking with him now. I don't think Manila Drama is necessarily settled as well in the lead as you would have liked. But on the flip side, it is a good place to be at Haydock on this hurdles track. You don't want to be coming from too far behind in bad ground. And I think that Nico de Boinville is keen to not let his old rival get too far in front. But I'm more than happy. Like I said, the circuit times, the back end burn up that Llandin Arbo Lad can produce means that if he's on the heels coming into the home straight, I'll be very confident of him picking him up.
He is conceding a penalty, of course, for that listed win, so a little bit of weight he's got to concede. But it looks like he's put the anchor down, Sam Twiston-Davies, to me. Posty, would that be right?
I could agree with you. I don't think they're going very quick here. If most of them are actually settling and not wanting to give him too much rope. Favour, for me, is travelling a little bit strong out on the wide outside under Bridget Andrews. All the others are actually in a really nice rhythm and following away, but they're all sort of very much on top of each other, aren't they?
The one interesting thing about Manila Drama is just about still in the lead as they go on to the far side. He's flashed his tail a couple of times, albeit when he's had the race won. So is there any quirks there?
He's also looks like he's trying to lug out a little bit to his right. If you look at the jockey's reins, his left rein, and look, Sam Twiston-Davies just keeps trying to pull him over to the inside, and he keeps trying to lug away out towards Favour.
He's in really good form at the moment, though, Donald McCain. I think the last 3 of his 4 runners have indeed won. Barry Orr, then, we're approaching the
favourite out to 4. Favourite out to 4 to 1, Dave.
Wow.
Being chased along there for a couple of strides. He seems back on it now, though. He's getting chased along again. 2 to 1 Manila Drama. 4.0 Nada de Prada. 5.9 Ferror. Anything for Love, 9.2. They're all single figures, so all to play for. But the favourite out to 4 to 1 now.
Happy days. Thank you. Then you can hear from the guys who got a little bit tight on the bend there as well. So Sam Twiston-Davies, as they go around that right angle, the tightest bend in jump racing, they're around it. And the favourite lad, Llanborough Lad, he is indeed off the bridle. But this, I'll tell you what, they're going to have to go to get to this, I think. Nada de Prada, that looks like it's in trouble. The other mare, Anything from Love, they're not getting there. Ping! Over it goes. It was a point-to-point winner this as well. Do they get it?
I think Favour, like at the moment, is travelling very strongly. You're just concerned the fact that he's raced a bit keenly through the early stages. When he comes off the bridle, he might not have that much.
Well, we're about to find out because 2 have gone well clear here. And I'll tell you what, I think the winner's in front here. This Manila Drama just keeps going. I think they won it with Cinders and Ashes. Favour trying to get back to him was really keen early. We're coming up to the last then. Short run in at Haydock. We're going to see that in the new one hurdle later on. Oh, he dived at it, but he got over it really, really well. Much better than Favour. I love these horses that look beaten, especially up the home straight Haydock. Keep pouring it on. Favour, that early reluctance to settle has cost it from the last. Little smart performer we've seen here. Run! I tell you what,
hang on.
It's not. Here he comes. A little bit of drama for us. Sam Twiston-Davies, get your welly out. This isn't going to be a Pentland Hills, is it? Unbelievable
and
scenes.
He's picked it up.
It is. Wow, unbelievable. I called him the winner and he got done on the running. Unbelievable. Gubbing, I think they believe that. They call that out there, don't they? In Betfair and Barry Orr.
1.03, 33 to 1 on Manila Drama. 33 to 1 on day for £5,918, would you believe?
Unbelievable scenes.
Your winner matched at a high of 40. Let me see for how much. 40 for 12 quid.
Wow. Wowee. Okay, so
short run in, not short enough for the backers.
I said, are we going to see a Pentland Hills? You remember in the new one hurdle last year, of course, when he got done by Barry Andy on the line. Yeah. I still want to see that photo. I still don't believe that he got up. Actually, that was, but it can change. I guess the drama's there. But Favour, I was sure Posty, having pulled that hard, he wouldn't get up. Is this an idling?
Possibly, but I think you've got to rate the performance of the winner, Favour, up. I mean, he's been keen early. They've gone to the last, and Sam Twiston-Davies has absolutely thrown Manila Drama down and got a good jump, whereas Favour, Bridget Andrews has sat still, got into the bottom and been sloppy and lost another half length there. And I think that the winner, Favour, has done very, very well to pick Manila Drama up, and maybe he was idling, but I think deserves to be rated up a little bit.
Congratulations to owner Miss Suzanne Lawrence out there. She, just taken out a Grade 2 hurdle with a 131 horse. Absolutely fantastic. They're probably plotting up a handicap, you would have thought, for that somewhere down the line. It's going to go, up now 140-ish, you would imagine. That's not out of the question. However, if you're at Team Skelton at the moment, and they will be watching at home, they'll be looking at someone in the box who's standing there, my Drogo. They'll be thinking, we've got one here, haven't we?
Yeah, completely. And we've also, we just mentioned about targeting these graded prizes throughout the season, and they've now taken another grade 2 with a horse that, look, he's an improving young horse. For them, he's struggled to show that he's sort of top class as of yet, but he's now a grade 2 winner. And
some operation, isn't it?
it really is.
This last Saturday, Ross Brierley sat in the studio with Warwick at the forefront of his mind, and he basically said to the nations out there, Skelton will have a blinder. He had an absolute shocker, obviously, of course. He lost 2 horses, didn't he?
It was a terrible Saturday.
Nothing went his way, and now he's had a quick double with perhaps not the obvious horses.
Well, you can't keep a good yard down, can you, for very long? And it's like you said, last week will have been still quite hot in the memory, I imagine, coming into today. To see Roxana win like that and then see Favour pick the front runner up in what was a bit of a weird race. I thought the Clandenarbo lad was having to be chased along a bit, which is not necessarily the worst thing in this ground, Charlie, but there was a proper coming together with...
He was really disappointing, wasn't he?
Well, my selection took out your selection.
Yeah,
he was.
Clandenarbo had never looked comfortable, really. Like you say, he was sort of on and off the bridle. Nada de Prada, it got very, very tight round the inside. Around what you picked up is a very tight bend now turning in at Haydock. And
Nick Schofield told me it was like a right angle.
Well, since they completely destroyed the jumps track there in
don't hold back, Poste,
well, they did for commercial gains, from having more space for the flat track and the summer meetings that bring in a load of the drinking crowd. The track is completely different. Haydock once was one of the best chase tracks in the country. Proper galloping, everything that's good about jump racing. It's been turned into a bit of a motorbike track, especially the hurdle course. And the only thing that actually makes it a test anymore is the fact that the ground gets so deep. Well,
that we can guarantee. Okay, so you've just been told pretty much about Haydock there, but we'll be going back, of course, for the Peter Marsh over fences. The fences tracks. You're not going to be quite as harsh about that,
but the fences are completely different. I mean, again, they used to have these proper built tests of jumping, and they turned it into these portable obstacles that actually have caused as more problems than having the proper old big fences that they used to have, because there was a lot of issues with the way they're put together. They seem better now, but it's not the same, Dave. It's not.
You didn't enjoy riding up there, then. It wasn't
a problem to me, but as in, I was lucky enough when I first started, and it was very early on, to have a few rides over the old chase track, and comparing the two, they don't bear comparison,
There we are. Okay, so modernisation up at Haydock, sharpest jumps track in the land. Of course, a little bit stiffer on the chase track. We are back for Royal Pagile at 2:40. We'll be going to the 150 at Ascot very shortly indeed. Ross.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking if Barry, it's a good job. Barry would have won the lay with Manila Drama, but
some sweat for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure he would have survived.
Well, that's back as a Manila Drama. We're hearing about he's matched the lay. It's unbelievable, isn't it? I was on the floor. He was and I could hear him as well in my ear.
I've never seen a more calm delivery of a horse being pipped on the line than your commentary in that.
Well,
100 yards.
No, I think Donald McCain has got a nice horse there, hasn't he? And perhaps, like I say, be interesting to see him with a lead. That would be interesting.
We're noting that the winner is 12 from 20 for the Betfair Hurl.
There we go. Okay.
Which novices have a good record.
Yeah,
will he pick up a £4 penalty or something like that now?
£4 penalty, that's right. So, but again, you might, if you're looking at 131, that won't be a bad thing.
135, so he should definitely be in off a proper
racing.
That's
like the magic rating, isn't it? If you can get a horse in off 135, and something progressive. It's a good traveller, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, a traveller, a horse who races on the speed again. You don't want to be too far away, you don't want to be coming from last to first in the Betfair Hurdle, that's for sure.
And you'd think a stronger gallop is only going to help, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You want a retainer with Barry Orr out there? We keep mentioning the Betfair Hurdle, don't we, on this show, and likely targets for it. That's twice you've done it now. Third time lucky not in.
£25,000 race, Dave. It's the richest handicap hurdle. Like when you see some of the Grade 1 races are worth 20 and 30 grand, like the Talworth, 125 grand for a novice off a good mark. It's not a bad prize to be aiming for, is it really?
Completely agree. And then there's a lot of form lines with the Betfair Trophy in this next race at Ascot as well, isn't there? So,
I tell you what, it's lucky that they sponsor everything.
You can come again, Posty.
Oh, there we go.
Cheers,
unbelievable. He knows what he's doing, doesn't he? I'm feeling this seat getting a little bit smaller, lads, I'll tell you that much. Okay, great stuff. We're having great fun here on Racing Post Live, as ever, on a Saturday. Great to have you along, enjoying it with us as well. We know it's lockdown out there. We will lift the spirits. Okay, so basically we will have quotes coming your way on the show one way or another. We're trying to get hold of Andrew Dietz at Haydock. He'll be in. The huddles don't exist anymore, the way that the COVID racecourses are set up now, so it's a little bit slower for the guys out there. Of course, we're hoping that change. We've got Lewis Porteous lined up at Ascot as well. So We'll be hoping to get a word from Andrew going along. But at the moment, let's get your social media comments. Where are you out there? We know you're watching. Let's hear from you. What wins the Clarence House at 3:35? That's when we go off air just after that as well. So it's really nice, isn't it, basically, to have the big race as the last race. That's really nice. We saw in Ireland, didn't we, last Sunday, Envoy LN at the top of the card. That's quite nice to see as well, isn't it? 2020 and 2021, just weird years, aren't they?
It's anything goes, Dave, quite frankly, at the moment. So run 2 feature races at the same time. Why not? Let's mix it up.
Hang on a minute. Let's not go to the John Durkin again. Let's not go Huntingdon and Punchestown again. That was a disaster, wasn't it? So we'll try and get, like I said, OK, Andrew, are you there? In fact, I think we might be able to get a word from Andrew now up at Haydock. Can we go to our man on the ground? Andrew Dietz, are you there?
I am, Dave.
Hey,
okay.
Here he is. I got you. How's it like up there? Have you got your sledge out, Andrew?
Yeah, we've not needed the sledge after all. The sun's come out. It's been a crazy morning here, really eventful morning. There was real sort of high drama. It looked like real race against time getting the covers up, as you've probably seen elsewhere. But we've got the go-ahead. Nicky Henderson's up here. I spoke to him before the first race. He was obviously happy for his 3 horses to run, so it looks like it's all systems go for Bouvedere.
Fantastic. Great to have you on, Dietz. If you don't know Andrew Dietz, I'm sure a lot of you would have seen him in the paper, one of our top men up north. We weren't sure we were going to get you there. You are. Allard fell in the first then. Silver Hallmark. He looks like a proper horse, though, doesn't he?
He does, yeah. He obviously sort of took advantage of the favourite's fall. Adam Wedge was really impressed with the horse. He thinks he'll be better getting a lead in a race. So, you might see him to better effect in a bigger field. And I did speak to Fergal O'Brien over the phone, and he's not here at Haydock, but I checked in with him over the phone. And although this horse doesn't have any entries for any of the novices at Cheltenham, he was worried about the horse's lack of experience for Cheltenham in those novice races. But if Aintree did come up soft, he could go there.
And again, we're looking at that. And what about this last winner? What a dramatic finish you had there. I backed the Manila horse for Donald McCain. I thought it was home and hose after last. Not a bit of it.
Absolutely brilliant ride, wasn't it, by Bridget Andrews? She gets on really well with this horse. I think that's 4 from 4 for her on the horse. I've had a couple of anti-post quotes come through on my phone. 25-1 for the Supreme, 12-1 for the Betfair Hurdle. Bridget did say, though, that this horse didn't necessarily enjoy the hustle and bustle of Sandown last time. So I'll be sort of holding fire in terms of anti-post bets on this horse.
Great stuff, Andrew. Yeah, OK, 2 came clear, didn't they? Puddingy old ground up there then, Andrew, isn't it, obviously?
It is. It's obviously, there's been some snow that's fallen. They've got the covers off. Some of the snow on the hurdles course will have melted into the ground. They seem to be getting through it OK, but it is going to be extremely testing, and they've not even been able to provide a going stick reading either because of the frost covers. So
it'll be a Sahara up there next, Andrew.
It was going to be.
Yeah, we've had pretty much
what
everything.
It was going to be.
Yeah, OK, Andrew, listen, that's great stuff. Have you written your headline yet? Is it going to be Royal Pagal or... Oh, he's gone. We've lost the man. He's probably gone down a snow hole.
No, sorry, Dave. Sorry, I'm back. Sorry. I did lose you for a second. Can you hear me?
I said, have you written your headline yet? Is it going to be Royal Pagal?
It's just, that's it. It's nothing. It's going to be a blank
from Andrew. Yeah, anyway, listen, great to hear from Dietzy up there. So listen, so that's interesting, isn't it? We've seen Roxana, haven't we? We're not sure whether she's going to go back to Cheltenham, although I think she's going to be nearly favourite for the mare's race now, alongside Honeysuckle, somewhere like that. If she did, that would be a lovely tussle, wouldn't it? But Silver Hallmark could go to Aintree if it's softwood. Great to get these comments from the connections, of course. And Favois, interesting that about the big field, wasn't it?
Yeah, which should be a negative for the Betfair Hurdle, wouldn't it, in all honesty?
Big time.
Yeah, that's sure to get a full field again this year, 24. That's the maximum capacity for a Betfair Hurdle. And with prize money the way it is, and like I said, the 125k pot, I'm sure it'll max out again this year.
Oh, cannot wait for that. So listen, we got Dietzy up at Haydock for us. Happy days. It worked. Delightful. We'll be going to Lewis Porteous just before the Clarence House for you as well to get all the news and grooves from Ascot. We'll get a feel about how Defi Discern might look in the pre-parade ring as well. Happy days. Great to have Dietzy on. OK, shall we move back to Ascot then? Because we've got an extremely competitive 150 coming up. It is the Matchbook, Holloway Matchbook Handicap Hurdle. Barry, who's going to go off favourite in this?
Well, Paddy's motorbike has been the one everyone wanted to be with all morning. It's really, really strong. Was matched at the highest 16 on the exchanges, into 6.0 now. So he's a 5-1 chance. One of the best backed horses of the day on the sports book as well was 13-2 into 9-2. Janika, who's looking to exploit a decent mark, is 6.4, decent mark over hurl. 7 Arrivederci, who disappointed last day. No excuse given. The horse I like in it is the bottom horse, Craig Niche, just squeezes in at the bottom of the handicap there. And what I like about this horse is he's very few miles on the clock. Now, he might have burst last day, and obviously he's been difficult to train. He's only had 3 runs, but he stayed on well behind a big breakaway in Newbury on one of his second run. And we haven't seen him since he won a maiden in Doncaster. Now, he traded high that day. He had a Betfair SP of 1.43, which is like around a 2-5 mark, but he traded at a high of 20. He did look like he was beaten, but he stayed on better than anything. My angle into this race, lads, is that I think there's going to be a big pace burn up here. I mean, Paddy's motor likes to be up with it. Lightly Squeezed likes to be up with it. Danny Kerwin will go off in front along with Cateson. So there's going to be plenty of pace, and he might be there just to pick up the pieces, but I think he will trade bigger in running. So, Ross, what I'm going to ask you to do is currently 60. He's currently 15 to back. Can we have 25 quid in him at 15 to win? And I'm going to have another 25 quid in him in running at around the 35 mark. So we're going to use the keep bet functionality there. All bets are taken down on Betfair once a race goes in play if you don't select the keep bet function pre-race. If you select the pre-race and the race goes in play, your bet stays in play as well. So I think he's going to trade significantly higher, but I think he'll be coming at the finish when the rest are crying enough. And just off that mark, I think it's very exploitable with a good young jockey on his back.
So you want another 25 in play at about 30, 34 then, Barry? Is that what?
Yeah, 34. Yeah, that'll do.
Yep.
A lot of love for Paddy's motorbike out there, wasn't there? Absolutely. But that is interesting about the pace angle. Yeah, I just had a look at the pace map that I've got here as well. Doesn't look like it could be a burn-up along the way. Ross, let's come to you. Who's going to win this?
2 against the field for me. Both very similar form lines, Warlord and Arrivederci. We've seen them countless times this season. Arrivederci might well have won that Haydock race if he hadn't come down. He was getting into it, and I think he was probably feeling it when he dropped back in trip behind Not So Sleepy, but this distance is much more up his street. And Warlord obviously was very impressive when winning, was behind Arrivederci before that. And last time out, he wants a proper gallop, and he's going to get a proper gallop here. Charlie mentioned, you said earlier about the Tizard team. You've got to be worried that they're not having winners, but they have had... I think it's 4 seconds and a third this week. So they are.
Yeah, Fiddle on the Roof ran well despite bleeding, didn't he, against Next Destination at Warwick on our opening show. He lost.
And of course, we're saying they're not having winners, but this is one of the horses that has won. So if the rest of them are out of form, then at least Warlord is holding it.
I really want to see them have that big Saturday winner. I'm on Warlord. He ticks all the boxes just before they jump off. Arrivederci is a horse you know a lot about, Poste.
Arrivederci, we broke him in as we did. We broke IK Brunel in as well. So look, hoping that both of those can run well.
Talking about form, back in form is Ollie Murphy as well, isn't he?
They are. They've been running great, so hopefully a big chance here as well for him.
Off and running then in the 150. It's a tricky call, so that means Ross Bridie's on.
Absolutely, yeah, they're off, and Barry said there might be a bit of a pace burn-up, and plenty of them want to get to the lead. No surprise, though, to see the well-backed Paddy's motorbike go out into the front rank. Behind him, Cateson, Craignech. On the outside is IK Brunel. Nordano, who likes to be on the speed as well, can't even get there. Paddy's motorbike, though, maybe going a bit too quick. He's not jumped overly well early on. Behind them, we've got Lightly Squeezed, Danny Kerwin, Arrivederci. Behind those, we have Botox Ha. Out the back, Don Levant. Janika just lost a couple of places there. Warlord on the inside is held up as well. And I think that is every one of them mentioned. So Paddy's motorbike, despite there being potentially a battle for the lead, like we saw with Not So Sleep early on at Ascot this season, has suddenly found himself with a solo run.
Yeah, let's see if he can keep it up. Talented horse, all coming right, isn't it? For Sam Thomas, who's having a really good season, isn't he, so far, Sam Thomas?
It's great to see. He's a really good guy, Sam, and he'd been a bit of a slow burn of the training career, but it does seem to have taken off this last season.
Do you think he's going too quick, this chap, or is it nice that he's not pestered?
I mean, look, he did seemingly, looking at the speed figures, he was going quick round the bend. He seems to have just steadied it up now, Jordan Naylor. You can often find this at times as well when there's seemingly loads of front runners and lots of pace, that often you then end up getting one left alone in front, and it can change quite dramatically.
I've always wanted to ask a jockey, if you're in the situation, you're also on a horse who wants to be out in front, you're seeing another horse who's getting a solo here, what's your option? Let him get on with it, or cut each other's throats?
I think very much you have to ride the horse to suit the conditions as they are on the day, and if you think there's too much pace, there is no benefit to going chasing that strong pace yourself and sacrificing your own chance just to be up front.
Sometimes it's you're in a no-win situation then.
You are, of course you are, yeah. I mean, like if you have 2 out-and-out confirmed front runners that are very free, it's not an ideal scenario. If you're like Brian Hughes, and Cateson, who is actually tactically adaptable, then you're just going to do what he's doing now. You're going to follow the pace if you think it's if you think it's too strong, and then you're going to press him if you think the pace is slackening, I suppose.
We're about to go out on the far side then. I'll tell you, it'll be some performance, won't it, if Nicky Henderson's horse wins this. Can you just pronounce that again that you did? In the
it's Cragnech, I think.
Honestly, we've got a Welsh national winning jockey who's seemingly fluent in the native tongue. Have you ever won a Scottish national? Have you ever even been to Ayr?
I have been to Ayr once for an Ayr Gold Cup.
I tell you what, that pronunciation was absolutely fantastic. But
Ross, I cancelled our in running bet on him because the only way we're going to get mashed on Cragnech is if if he's well beaten.
He's picking it up, Barry, isn't he? I'll tell you what, he's getting there. Any Gaelic pronunciation.
We're only going to get matched. So that's a great thing about the functionality. You can get out of your bet, and I've got out of that. I've cancelled the 34 because we'll only get matched on it if he's well beaten.
Okay, there's a pace burn up front there. We'll go back to pronunciation.
How many times has Tom Cannon ridden for Nicky Henderson?
That is a sign of how well he's doing. He's surely posting.
Yeah, very.
Not a chance.
He's a really good, well, not young rider, but he's one that's really come into the fore. The job with Alan King.
He's like a popular lad in the weighing room.
He's a good lad, and like I say, very, very able, like plenty in the weighing room, and it's great to see him riding a big chance for Nicky Henderson on a Saturday.
I looked it up earlier in the week, and this is his first ride.
Nico, of course, went up for Allard, didn't he, at Haydock? And of course, Bouverdare's up there as well. Okay, then we're around about 5 out. Then Paddy's Motorbike still up there. Arrivederci, he's having a say as well. Warlord shoving along. Don't want to see that lightly squeezed. Ross hasn't gone for it either.
No, Janika's coming through the field, but Paddy's Motorbike can't quite work him out yet. He dropped back a couple of positions. He's now being challenged by Cateson, but he's still
motoring.
He is motoring, and according to Charlie, he's at the wrong track as well. He should be at Haydock, given he's a motorbike. But Paddy's Motorbike, Cateson behind those. Arrivederci lightly squeezed Cragnech. I can't even remember how I pronounced it to begin with. Is on the outside trying to throw down a challenge. So Barry's horses got a bit of a chance, but they're still not getting to these leaders. In fact, the only one that's catching the eye is Arrivederci, who's going through the gears, and maybe Don Levant down the outside as well. He's got every chance here. Paddy's Motorbike, Cateson, Arrivederci throwing down a challenge for John Joe Neal. The Yard are in fantastic form at the moment. Got to have a big say here. Cragnech down the outside. I think Tom Cannon might have his first ride for Nicky Henderson. He throws it down to Cateson, Arrivederci, Don Levant behind them. Paddy's Motorbike is spent, but he's in the right place at the right time. This unexposed handicap hurdler. And Barry might well have back to win it.
How far ahead is Barry Orton?
He's absolutely pinged the last.
Pings the last from Arrivederci and Cateson.
Oh, here comes Arrivederci.
Not too far.
He's going further and further clear. Cragnech then wins. Arrivederci runs on into second place, has run a blinder, but he's run into a handicap lot here with Cateson back in third place. But Tom Cannon, first ride for Nicky Henderson, first winner. Not a bad way to
100% strike rate.
Well,
and Don Levant ran on for fourth as well. If we're playing 4 places, if you're with your each way bets.
Yeah, Tom Cannon, take a bow. We'll get Postie's idea of the ride there because that horse was proper lit up on the far side. It was a well-run race. I think from 5 out, they really went from it. The hold-up horses really struggled to land any sort of a blow. We'll get to that. But Barry, when did the market know that this was going to blow them away?
Yeah, can you believe he had a high of 50 at one stage?
Barry, you should have left it in, Barry.
There's a quid. We wouldn't have got matched. Ross, there's only a quid done at it. No, there was no decent sums at 34, so we're all right there. We did the right thing. We're happy. We won 375 quid for the charity there, so that's happy days.
Happy days. Yeah. Great shout, Barry.
Brilliant.
Interestingly, Kate's on trade at a low 1.70.
Yeah. Was it the form with the big breakaway that really put you onto this, or was it Nicky Henderson? Because first time out, I'm just looking down the roll call of winners. Nothing's managed to win this race first time out in the last 10 years. Oh, Smad Place, actually, believe it or not. Would you believe Smad Place, a Gold Cup also? I don't know whether this chap's going to be as good as him, but I'll tell you what, to pull like that and still win, Barry, you're right, it was a blot.
Yeah, off 127 wasn't a bad opening mark. Obviously, he'd go up significantly for that, but no better man than Nicky Henderson to get one ready first time out either. Like, you're not dealing with a small yard there. He knows what it takes. And I think the horse might have bled last day, and he's had his problems, obviously, but he's a very talented horse by the looks of it.
You've got to be happy with the form, I think, as well, because Cateson, of course, came back to form, didn't he? Tom Lacey having a good time of it at the moment. He's right back up and running now. And Arrivederci, for all that he fluffed his lines last time, he would have given Warlord a proper race at Haydock time before that, and they've always thought there's a big one in him.
Yeah, he's very highly regarded at John Joe's. I mean, like he's very likeable horse. He's still very early in his career as well. You know, I mean, what is he, 6 years old or something like that?
Yeah.
So you'd imagine that somewhere along the line there's going to be a big pot in him, and he would be a lovely horse to go chasing with as well.
I was going to say, I mean, the way he's kept on going there, a Coral Cup might be worth a
Be
crack.
interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah.
For
Arrivederci,
Arrivederci, yeah, they have always thought about the trip.
And again, Cateson, the form of the Ascot, the Aintree race had worked out well with Hunter's Call.
He's a solid horse. He's
mint condition. He gives the form a lot.
He used to run in shallows as a novice, didn't
Yeah.
he? And he lost his way a bit. Tell you what, Tom Race is very, very good.
Do you know what is it? Like, again, like what we were saying about the pace burn up early on, and then the one getting left alone, it actually didn't play out that way, because the first three have all been very, very, well, the first, Cateson and Craig Nesh have all been up there the whole way.
Yeah. There were some disappointments when they lightly squeezed, never got involved. Of course, beat them, most that ran behind Not So Sleepy last time. Warlord, another talented horse falling by the wayside.
I think I'd like to watch that back a bit, because the other thing that stands out to me is there were a few horses who were sticking to the inside, and I'm not sure they've enjoyed that experience whatsoever, because the winner was on the wide outside. Cateson was on the outside of Paddy's motorbike. You can see here, you draw a line on the head-on down the middle, and your Paddy's motorbikes, Janika, Lightly Squeezed, Warlord, all the horses down that inside rail. Don Levant ran on down the outside.
But you often see this at Ascot, don't you, on slow ground, that getting up to the stands rail is an advantage, getting near to it.
That inside is a thing of the past on the home straight at Ascot, isn't it?
Yeah, completely. Yeah.
That's it. Very interesting indeed. Yeah. Okay, so it's not flat racing,
first
but
show for the Coral Cup, the winner, lads.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, Barry. And the owner is Robert Kirkland, but it's almost like you've got a share in this. I'm pretty sure I heard in my ear Barry went, not too far. What was? Did you not want him to spoil his weight for the Coral Cup or something?
Have you backed the distances as well, Barry?
He should get in now to the Coral Cup, shouldn't he? Like, he'd go up significantly for that 127. What would he get there?
That's the first time we've ever had a not too far, isn't it?
I'd have said 10, Barry, so that gets him off 137, which should guarantee him a run. I mean, in fairness, he needed to win impressively to be guaranteeing that he'd get in the Coral Cup without having to run elsewhere.
Who won the Coral Cup last year? Of course, Nicky Henderson with
Dame de Compagnie.
Of course, who hosed up over fences in the week, didn't he?
Call the Cops as well. He's won it with.
The only thing, the winner's a
as well,
burster, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think he bled last day, and he has had his training problems, so he's obviously a fragile type.
They'll surely go there fresh with him, won't you?
Yeah.
Now that he's shown that he can take out a performance like this. Again, we mentioned the horses that have won that in the previous couple of years. Before we go up to Taunton, delighted to say next, let's have a look at who has indeed won it. Jenkins. Do you remember he won it? Jenkins, Rock the Casbah, who's just about to turn up at Taunton. Irish Saints, Mad Place, Tiger Road, again, Ballymoy. Thomas Darby won it last year for Ronnie Murphy, didn't he? So, yeah, we're not really mentioning Coral Cup winners in there, but they're a very talented horse, and like you say, going to be chasing before too long. Yeah, whenever you see a Nicky Henderson horse who's 7 reappearing, on a handicap debut over hurdles, I know it's easy to say now in hindsight, but you usually know that there's something there with a mark.
Well, he's flagging it up, isn't he? Because, like you say, if he didn't believe that mark was exploitable, then he'd have been chasing by.
And he had the top weight in the race as well, which is what a lot of people look at. Janica was just a bit disappointed there, wasn't he?
But again, I mean, as Charlie said, horses Janica was held up last with Warlord. They've not got into it at all. The winner was.
Did you strike a line through that then, Ross? Or
Dave?
Yes, Barry.
I think it's worth mentioning there as well, Jerry Mcgrath, isn't it? He might have ridden the winner only for taking that heavy fall during the week. So
he's on the sidelines, isn't he? Yeah, he's been doing some good interviews actually to Jerry, hasn't he? On the sidelines, talking about his injury as well. He's an underrated chap, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, I mean, look, he's a big part of Nicky Henderson's team, isn't he? Very good horseman and everything like that. I actually messaged him last night. He seems in pretty good spirits, as in unfortunately the downside of the job, isn't it?
And if you're Tom
he
Cannon
didn't put the winner up to your postie.
He didn't, Barry. He obviously didn't want the price to go.
What did he tell you about Bouvardere?
He didn't mention Bouvardere either. I mean, all I know with Bouvardere, I don't want any excuses with Bouvardere.
Sharing's caring, Posty.
I don't want any excuses. If Bouvardere can't win today, it's a bad old do.
Yeah, well, listen, but there is a stat I'm going to give you for that race. He's got to overcome it. It's a rotter. We will have time to get to social media comments, I'm being told, after the 2:10 at Taunton. It's where we've got to go next. And of course, Jarle Enki bidding to win the race for a second time. He's been a warm order since the markets opened on Thursday. Is that still the case in the 2:10? 3 mile 4 for the Botman Cup, Barry Orr.
Yeah, he's 188, Dave. He's been really well supported, you'd have to say. Obviously, he's banged there with the weights the way they are. He's been matched at a high on the exchange of around 2.22, so just a little under 5-4. I can't bring myself to lay him because you look a real fool if you take him on and he goes off in front and doesn't see another horse and wins doing handsprings. It's just a turnaround I don't like. But what I'm going to do in it, I think the Mighty Don could have a bit of improvement in him. I thought that day, the Mighty Don, when he won that novice in Chepstow, I liked the look of him that day. His second to Happy Go Lucky at Cheltenham, he really, really devoured the hill. He only got going jumping the second last and got up for second place. But he just stayed on really well that day. I think the step up and trip will help him. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to back him without the favourite. So the top bar there is the markets that are available on this race. There's win each way, place 3 places. And without the favourite is up there along with A versus B forecast and so on and so forth. So without the favourite, he's currently trading at 6-1. He's 7.0. Going to look to have 50 quid on him at that price. And there's only 20 quid there at the moment. So the other 30 quid will go over into the lay side and will appear there at 7. And there'll be there's our 30 quid there at 7 now. So hopefully that'll get matched pre-race. Ross, we just keep our eye on that. But yeah, the Mighty Dom without Yala Enki for me.
Nice, happy days. Yeah, I think the ground is slightly better on the chase course than it is over the hurdles course. Just been looking, as Barry was giving us his selection there, at the times of the first couple of races at Taunton. They're about 30 seconds above standard, each of them, so it's proper puddingy old grabber. As you mentioned, tight track. Did you like riding at Taunton then?
Yeah, I did, yeah. I mean, look, from the chase track point of view, the pivotal fence is the third last. You know,
it's famous, isn't it?
You turn in, you run downhill to it, so the horses are tending to get on their head.
Yeah.
If you meet it in tight, it can then be hard for the horse to get its front end up quick enough, and then you see horses knuckle over. It's sort of the classic thing that happens there.
We've also got the path, haven't we? After the last, we've seen some really crazy incidents.
Seen some bizarre ones, yeah. I mean, I personally, I think it's more of an effect over hurdles because you race close to the path and the gate where they come out.
They tend to try and run out a bit,
they try and duck back to there. You know?
Have you ever been on one that's gone clear over hurdles at Haydock, Ross, and you're like, money is in the bag, my friends? A little bit like Manila Drama that caused such drama up at Haydock, but then they've jinked, don't they? Oh, what are you doing? A little bit like they could do at Sedgefield, for example. There's the stable. I'm off, lads.
What was it? Was it Oski or something? The Fergal O'Brien's recently.
Yes.
That Max Kendrick was on. That literally went. Yeah, that was over fence as well, and he knew where the gate was because he nearly went to go back into the parade ring. Never mind across the finishing line, the winning line. You know. But,
it's great to see Taunton back on mainstream television. Let's hope they've got an usher to the weighing room this time. That would be a big help.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah. I was going to say that's I don't think I've ever had an expensive reverse from a horse jinking, but definitely. Not weighing in or weighing in light is pretty painful.
Yeah. Poor old Alexander Thorne, of course, who rode the big winner, the first terrestrial TV race ever at Taunton, and then jockey didn't weigh in. He didn't know exactly where to go with, forgot his head. So listen, let's hope they've.
He's not been alone though in these recent times.
No, there's been a remarkable. Actually, there's something to touch on quickly, isn't it? I think 11 jockeys since racing resumption.
They shouldn't be allowed.
Another
to
joke, an absolute joke of a scenario. Like what? Just have someone that walks back in with all the winning and place jockeys and take them to the weighing room.
Do you think
it's not rocket science?
Is that down to limited personnel though since racing?
I don't care. It's just down to mismanagement. As in, it's one of those things again. It's like. Yes, jockeys should know. It's a bit like riding a finish a circuit too early or going the wrong way. Just make it so that it's impossible to happen because everyone loses.
And this is the thing. I mean, say if you're driving a car, it's like everyone should know that the speed limit is 40 miles an hour, but you still have signs. So why not have something to put up? Just a big luminous arrow would work.
And all that happens is when it goes wrong, the industry as a whole looks ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know,
11 jockeys were counted. I think that came up.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly.
11 since racing resumption. Not one in Australia, not one in America.
Yeah,
no.
And we're talking about Betfair as well. And you think, well, I backed a winner, and then you go, well, hang on a minute, this is chaos because of it, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen like that. So I don't think it can't be a difficult fix.
Well, look. It is what it is. Let's go to the social media comments. We can get better on that, of course. Okay, and about this race, Thomas Irish HD came back on the show. Good to have you on. Thinking the Mighty Don myself. Yeah, well, Barry's on fire all of a sudden. Thomas, happy days. Like I say, if he gets into a good rhythm, he likes the sound surface. He's got some decent form, hasn't he? Certainly over hurdles. Commander Von Roerick comes back onto the show. Yala Enki looks just too good for anything in this race. Right, let's stick with that one. Is he too good just for anything in this race, Posty?
On figures, yeah, I mean he is. The only concern for me is it's a much shorter turnaround than the Welsh national effort last season to Taunton because of the delay when the Welsh National was staged. So the only thing I can see beating him really is that those exertions on the 9th of January, you know, he's had less than 2 weeks before this, might have an effect. But it seems that this race is framed for him and Paul
You've
Nicholls.
got to take a chance if you're Nicholls and the owners, you know, and Brierley, when you're talking, right, we've got to go for this race because he's rated 161, Ross, isn't he? The opportunities are scarce, winning opportunities are scarce for him.
He's going to keep banging his head against your secret reprieves in big field handicap chases, which is you know, if you said to people, do you want to own a horse who's repeatedly going to place in a Welsh National, you'd snap your hand off. But in theory, this race is spot on for him. He's got a nice run style for it as well, and he ran a cracker. But I do think, you know, there is a really interesting alternative to him in the shape of If the Cap Fits, and I think it's a fascinating matchup. Two very different horses, run styles, mentalities. Everything is kind of chalk and cheese with them. And my stat of the day, Dave. Stat of the day. Every time a new jockey has got on If the Cap Fits, he's won. 4 jockeys have ridden him. Noel Feely, Mikey Legg,
Darryl
Jacob and Sean Bowen. Every time they've got... Because he's a quirky sort, so clearly I think a new jockey gets on him, it's a bit of novelty for him and it wakes him up.
Do you think the trip will help as well?
I think it will, yeah,
It
definitely.
looks at Kempton like he gets over some ground, but this is also was running in Christmas hurdles, wasn't it, not that long ago? So
well, he's officially racing at 152, but you know, you look back at his form, April 2019, you know, he's beating Roxana at Aintree in a Grade 1. So this is he's a very, very talented horse. He just has a few sandwiches short of a picnic, perhaps. So, but he's got an incredible engine, and I think the extra trip will definitely play to his strengths. He won a bumper here by 9 lengths, and you know, I think coming off the back of a decent pace at this track could suit him. But he is a quirky sort, whereas Jarl Renke is very straightforward. So that's what you're playing with.
yeah. So stat of the day from Ross Brierley, James Bowen then. In for a good time, says Ross, and that pay packet is coming closer, my friend. Thirds of it in the bank. Let's get some more socials up on the screen. Loving this. We've got coming to join the show. Manny Draycott, good to have you back, Manny. If the cap fits, according to Ross, it might well do. Jake Harmon, happy to give it if the cap fits a chance. He's a horse that the public do like. An absolute, great deal, don't they? And Frizzy Red says if the cap fits as well, keeping it simple. Listen, so look, if you're taking a price out there, a lot of people like to say, we'll have this in the multiples with a couple of shorties as well. With Rock the Casbah, who, of course, we haven't seen him since he finished second in this race last year. Spoke to Philip Hobbs yesterday. He said, look, at his age, we just want to get him out because he went to Aintree afterwards, didn't he? And he pulled up, and we thought he was going to be an Aintree horse. Philip thinks he's better on good ground, but despite the fact that his profile suggests he should have no problem with it whatsoever, Philip was very lukewarm on him, let's put it that way, which is understandable.
Yeah, I think it is, as in he's 11 years old now. Like you say, we haven't seen him since he got beat by Jarl Renke this last year. You'd have thought, again, I've actually had a sit on him a couple of times at home when he's been actually back at Annabelle King's. Ollie Murphy's mum used to have him to pre-train. And he's a big, burly sort of horse, and I'd imagine he's a sort of horse that by nature would be better off once he's had a run. And so the fact that this is first time out this season, I can't see as a positive.
I think he won on this day as a novice. Or he won I think he won at Haydock on this day as a novice or something like that. Ross is feverishly kicking his profile.
I'll see if I can...
Maybe he got beaten at Haydock, but his name came up in one of the previews I was looking at.
He ran in the Peter... He was pulled up in the Peter Marsh a couple of years ago.
No, he was also on that card then, I think it was. Or maybe it was Ascot. We'll get there anyway, but I've definitely seen him somewhere on the line. Thought Al Rock was quite interestingly placed in the market 33 to 1.
Well, he was second in this race to Jarl Renke last year.
No, it was something else. I know it wasn't going to
What,
get
what do you want from me, Dave?
Look at his novice career. I know it was about 9 years ago, Ross, but we should be able to find it, I think. But look, he's a very talented horse. But is this a match is what I'm trying to get to.
Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Of course, he won the handicap hurdle at Ascot, which we've just seen.
The 150.
There you go.
Boom, we got it. All right,
got it. That's what you wanted.
It took a while.
Yeah.
Probably as long as this race is going to take.
My
to run
interview with
3.5
Philip Hobbs
miles.
yesterday went well, as you could tell. Absolutely.
He's burst back into form this week.
He has. He won the opener at Taunton. Dostal Phil was a big winner for him. Woo!
That was some horse, wasn't it?
Smarty Wild at Kempton.
Smarty Wild is finally getting it together.
Yeah.
There's a big payday in him. And he got the mare as well, who won at Ascot as well. His name escapes me at the minute, but she's going pace as well. Team Hobbs, slow start to the season, expect fireworks. You remember, actually, it was this time last year when we started thinking, Alan, he's got a really nice team for Cheltenham, and a very frustrating week for him, of course.
Well, looking back at his thing last year, and I thought, I wonder if they've had that in the back of their mind, because they had a fantastic run into the spring, and then I think all the horses had basically peaked by that point. So I wonder if they've just taken it a bit slower this year, because the stats were down before Christmas, but they are starting to come back up.
Yeah, okay, so we're expecting winners from the Hobbs Yard to come through. Let's go to, Deffy coming up, Barry, quite right, at 3.35. So we've seen Social, lots of love out there for If the Cap Fits. He looks like he's holding his price to me on the exchange.
Yeah, If the Cap Fits, currently 3.20, so just around the 9 to 4 mark. Your favourite still, though, Yala Enki, 1.76. 18 Rock the Cash Bar, Mighty Don 8 to 24, it's 32 bar. But the favourite's still relatively strong at 8 to 11, 276 or 176.
Let's go to Poste then, because if you're Bryony Frost, she likes to take the outside route a bit, doesn't she? You often see that with Bryony if you're watching midweek jumps racing. She keeps on the outside. Now, sizing Cadelco pulled up the rag of the lot, the 12-year-old for Colin Tizard. He's the one that has shown a tendency to get on with it a little bit. Do you think we'll see what happened to Magic Light here a little bit earlier on our opening hurdle? I think is Bryony going to be worried about getting taken on, because the rest of them don't lead?
The one thing it looks like she's not going to do is line up on the wide outside here. At the moment, she was lined up looking like she's going to make the running down the inside.
Doing a Frodon.
Yeah, I mean, look, you'd have thought, like you say, she's clear on ratings. Just keep it fairly simple, won't you? I would imagine is the way she's going to ride it. He's a very straightforward horse, isn't he? Touch wood, he's a solid jumper, good traveller, stays very well. I can't imagine she's going to give ground away unnecessarily.
Okay, fantastic stuff. Good luck wherever you're playing in the 2.10 then. 3 mile 4, the Portman Cup. So was it the first running of it last year? It probably wasn't, was it?
Second running.
Who won the inaugural?
It was Royal Vacation, the Tizard.
Royal Vacation.
Yeah.
Team
I mean, what we are seeing here, it looks like there's going to be 5 of them lined up across the track at the moment, with only Al Rock having his first start for Richard Newland tucking in behind him. Yeah. I suppose he's not...
He's an interesting one, isn't he?
He is, absolutely. Would you like to have seen a bit more money for him? I don't know, but he's got some pretty solid, useful form out there. And is this the colours? I'm trying to remember. He's got some...
The Comedy Club partnership.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what they've had. I'm going to look that up. Leave that with me. But he is interesting. Something of a fly.
Doesn't look an over lenient opening mark, does it, Dave?
You just don't really know, Barry, do you? He's been given Racing Post ratings we've given him, but they are a little bit sketchy, obviously, in France. Around about, 139 sort of thing, and they've put him on a 158. So it's tricky to know, isn't it?
Yeah, they need to get him placed as well in a chase over 3 miles to qualify for the Grand National. I think, obviously, ultimately, that's his goal. So he's definitely off for his life, I'd say.
Didn't these connections have, I can't remember the name of the horse, but Kim Muir winner or placed?
I want to say Catamaran de Soy and horses like that for which, like I said, I was going to look at it. I will try and do that. Am I calling this, by the way?
It's up to you. You did the last one, but it's your choice, dealer's choice.
I'll take this one.
All right, deal.
Nice and easy. What can go wrong over 3 mile 4, right?
You could get chinned on the line again.
What we do know is people out there going, don't give Dave Orton the call.
Don't call the result. Don't call the result 100 yards out.
I think over Christmas, wasn't it, Barry? In the Savills, I called it a 1-2 for Mullins, and a Aplutard, of course. Barry's big leg comes and does the lot of them.
Thanks for that reminder, Dave. Yeah, you didn't have to drop that into the story that Aplutard was my big leg, but they've jumped off here.
Here we go.
Anytime a big winner in a handicap hurdle, but we'll bring Barry Orr down to size. Don't you worry about it. They are indeed off and running. And Yana Enki, as expected, under Bryony Frost. What a fine jumper he is. Hopefully, I don't put the commentator's curse on him.
Oh my goodness!
You were going to there.
As he goes and puts a shorty in when she saw a long stride.
It was a shorty, wasn't it?
Please be quiet now about the jumping.
Okay, so Yana Enki coming up to the second. We won't talk about his technique, but he looks like he's doing plenty to me to open up that lead. Rock the Casbar's not giving him too much rope. That's quite an interesting ploy. If the cap fits, big fences, says Posty. Stiff fences, I should say, at Taunton. He was fine over that one. He's right on the outside. Al Rock taking a bit of a keener hold for Dr. Richard Newland. As mentioned, he's under restraint, but needs to get qualified for the Grand National. Watch out for him. Size Cadelco, I thought he might give Yana Enki something to think about. I don't think he's got the pace to do it at the minute. The mighty Don tucked nicely for for Nick Gifford and James Davis in midfield. Posty, tell me how Yana Enki is racing at the moment.
He's racing enthusiastically, but he looks incredibly sort of happy, doesn't he? Ears pricked, bowling along. He met them first, they had a difference of opinion. But Bryony Thross was seeing a long one, and he put in a short stride. But since then, he's been very sort of controlled and met his fence on good strides. Rock the Casbar's following through. James Bowen noticeably keeping If the Cap Fits wider out. He is a slightly quirky customer, and he's probably going to try and get him to enjoy this race through the first mile and hope that he travels better than he did at Kempton on his last start.
Okay, so it's interesting, isn't it, Ross, that If the Cap Fits again has moved up slightly. Do you think definitely these riders are thinking not going to let Bryony turn this into a stop?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I don't know if she won a big race from the front recently. I don't know, but she's not too bad at it.
Stacking them up.
Absolutely. So and If the Cap Fits, like I said, it does have a couple of strange, lazy races in his profile. So you don't want to be too far away. But if he can sit in the van behind the front two here, Jarl Enki and Rock the Casbah, then it'll be interesting to see if that stamina holds out. But in theory, Jarl Enki is getting into that lovely rhythm. But I think maybe, like I said, we were maybe expecting If the Cap Fits to be exaggeratedly held up again, but he seems to be travelling quite well.
He looks like he's jumped really well to me.
Yeah, I'd have thought if you're an If the Cap Fits supporter, you're pretty happy through the first mile of this contest, aren't you? I mean, the only one really noticeably sort of on and off the bridle is the Mighty Don. James Davis had to keep asking him to pick back up into the bridle and sort of race in a good rhythm rather than racing lazily. But again, he's got quite a bit to find on the figures, and he's lacking sort of experience over fences as well. He's
a stout stayer, though. For you Mighty Don fans out there, don't worry about that. And he has got finally that win over fences as well. But they're starting to open it up a little bit. Let's go to Barry then, because every time they get a little bit closer to Jarl Enki, Bryony says not a bit of it. She fires him up again.
Yeah, 298. If the Cap Fits came into at one stage, out to 3.35 now. You're Jarl Enki 1.80, so 4 to 5. 12.5 Rock the Casbah, who seems to be travelling well in himself after that break. But the favourite still 1.80.
Interesting comments there about Rock the Casbah. I can see what you mean, Poste, as well. Big barrelled horse, isn't he?
Real big, deep chest. Like, you look at the sort of length of the girth that's holding the saddle on that goes round him, and it seems to go on forever around Rock the Casbah. We'd say he's like a very barrelly framed horse.
Okay, and he's going really nicely on the inside. He's the experienced one in the field, along with Jarl Enki, who is popping them off in front then. And again, she's just getting lower in the saddle, encouraging him in between the fences. It's that same fence twice round, isn't he? Because he was a little bit guessy again, Poste.
He did exactly the same thing, as in Bryony came off the bend, was trying to get him to lengthen in and go and wing it on a long stride, and both times he's gone, no, just leave this with me, I'll put in an extra stride. But he's a pleasure to watch, Jarl Enki, isn't he? As in he's been around a long time, but he's still got bags of enthusiasm, racing along, ears pricked, looks really, really happy in his work.
Okay, great stuff. So absolutely, it is great to see, and I know a lot of you are out there that have taken the price about this. Ross Brierley, let's come to you. There was a semblance of an error from If the Cap Fits along the way there.
A semblance of what, sorry?
An error.
An error, yes. Yeah, there was a little bit of a novice jump there, wasn't there? I think an interesting thing to mention here, again, we're talking about Betfair, we also have a three-place market that's in play as well, and I wonder if Rock the Casbah does need the run, and if the Cap Fits has a slight stamina query, the Mighty Don spends his whole life running on when it's too late, so he might run on for third. You never know.
The mighty place getter, yeah,
absolutely. Yeah.
He is rowing away a little bit. Al Rock is just starting to warm up a little bit, isn't he, under Lee Edwards? Got plenty of rope to make up there. They've gone past that tricky fence twice, Posty. And Rock the Casbah had a little look at it, didn't he? And If the Cap Fits as well. But I don't know, for a novice around Taunton in a proper Jarl Enki gallop, you have to be pleased with him, you're right.
I think so, as in he has just made a couple of novice-y errors over the last 4 or 5 fences, but right now he's actually travelled well throughout this contest and he's in a good position.
So if you're James Bowen and you're thinking, right, I've got that tricky fence coming up at a circuit's time, and Jarl Enki we think will be pouring it on there, what's going through your mind right now? Just keeping the fight?
Of course, but I mean, I think, being honest, you'd love to be sort of upside Jarl Enki running down the third last rather than follow him, because it is one of those fences that's a real momentum changer in a race, as in if Jarl Enki wings it, which he has done the last twice round, and you If the Cap Fits get in a bit deep and land flat-footed, it can be very hard to peg them back at Taunton from there.
I'll tell you what, this is a real sight, isn't it? Because here he comes up to this tricky fence. He's guessed at it twice before. And again, do you know he's done it exactly the same thing again? Wow, unbelievable. Creatures of habit, indeed they are. But in between the fences, he keeps finding. And I'll tell you what, this quick turnaround at the minute, he's showing no signs of it whatsoever, Ross Brierley.
No, absolutely not. I mean, he's a seasoned performer by now, isn't he? So I imagine those muscles are pretty much used to this kind of thing. But If the Cap Fits is very much on his heels. And again, if he stays, I mean, he's a genuine Grade 1 horse here. up against slightly exposed performers. So it looked on paper a bit like the race last week we saw with On the Blind Side winning, that there were two horses who were a mile clear of each other in terms of quality. If the cap fit stays, he's got to have a huge chance of picking up Yarler.
I think the market's coming to the fore now, Barry, isn't it? We're around about 5 to jump. The big two now eyeballing each other.
Yeah, was twos on Yala Enki out to 5 to 4 now off the back of that mistake, and if the cap fits, is into 6 to 4 on now.
Yeah, as looks like it's taken some stuffing out of Yala Enki, Poste.
And what we've just seen is exactly James Bowen has thought that about Yarler Enki. He doesn't want to be on the back foot going down to third last. He's pressed him, actually forced a mistake out of Yarler Enki.
He's rallying. He's rallying, you know.
Is this a problem for a horse who is a thinker to hit the front too soon, though?
Possibly.
For if the cap fits. Well,
then,
yeah, absolutely. They are upsides now coming to this tricky third last then.
Twos on again.
Unbelievable.
Now,
Fantastic. Yarler Enki. He has recovered admirably from that mistake at the fourth last. Here we go. This is the fence post he's on about. Oh, they're both over it just about okay. Rock the Casbah looks like he's going to hold on for third. Sizer Cadelco back in fourth. Mighty Don looks like he's pulled up. 2 out then. Here we go. It's Yarler Enki. Oh, there's little between the pair of them. This is where we know Yarler Enki stays. Looks like if the cap fits, he's just starting to empty out a little bit. Yarler Enki, he needs to get over this last. If the cap fits, holding his head awkwardly, pinged it perfectly well. If the cap fits, dived a little bit out of it. He's getting tired. Yarler Enki, 2 years in a row, taking the Portman Cup at Taunton. Great to see this horse getting his head back in. This is his big win every year. Paul Nicholls, take a bow. You're not afraid to run your horses.
Absolutely. There's no cotton wool. No cotton wool there, is there? Absolutely, yeah. And again, if the cap fits, is clearly a talented performer, but he does have his quirks. He did have stamina to prove. Yarler Enki, again, Brian, was just saying, let's go through those gears we know you've got, that stamina that he clearly finds in these races. And it was a good battle. It was a battle we wanted. We didn't want a procession for either of them.
That jinking mistake 4 out made it more of a spectacle, I think. But if Bryony's on his horse, the temptation is to just let him find his feet a little again. She wasn't having any of it. Was she? She got right back up at the corner.
Yeah, but I mean that's what you want to see from a rider, isn't it? You know, he's made a mistake, and immediately what she does very well behind a fence is she gets straight into the horse and gets him straight back up in front of her, gets him back into the racing position where she wants him, instead of being sort of neutral and allowing the race to get away from him. I actually thought it was a good ride from James Bowen on the second. He applied pressure like we said he would.
Again, no problems with that.
Yeah, he forced a mistake from Yarler Enki to give himself every chance, and he's actually been readily outpointed in the end by what was a really likeable performance by the veteran. And you're saying about the aggressive campaign, and is it any surprise? Dan Skelton was assistant to Paul Nicholls, and they're both showing that there's big pots to be won on these Saturdays before Cheltenham.
Yeah, well, if he follows the same way as last year, it will be the Grand National Trial at Haydock coming up in the middle of next month. A great card we're going to have for you there in Newbury and Haydock. On that day, it will be Betfair Hurdle time. Working backwards, delighted to tell you we're going to be bringing you both the days of the Dublin Festival. We're going to be hearing from David Jennings on the course as well, all being well there, giving us our man on the ground. And of course, we've still got Doncaster Sky Bets time, isn't it? The big chase next week as well. So it's all good stuff. And Yarler Enki, I'll tell you what, Bryony pretty much lost her irons. We were just watching back in the corner of my eye, that mistake 4 out again. Let's get a social comment up on the screen. Where are we going with this? And Dave Winder comes on. Good to see you, Dave. Game and honest victory. Absolutely. It's the 11-year-old doing it. I guess if you've backed it, if the cap fits, that moment where James, which Ross obviously has, when you were quite animated through the race. If you're looking at it now, you're thinking that moment, which Postie's right, he's got to try and expose Yarler Enki after that mistake. But a horse that's never been over the trip, maybe just got that stamina gauge up there, and like you say, he hits the front a bit too soon as well.
I mean, he has run a good race. He's probably not worked out perfectly for him in the sense, like you said, he has had to hit the front. He's lost his target a little bit with that mistake from Yarler Enki, and again, he is having to go through gears that he doesn't know he's got yet.
Yeah.
I mean, he certainly has stayed, hasn't he? He's been out.
Just putting it out there though. Like, so say the race pans out differently and he sits in and waits. Seeing the way Yarler Enki's finished off, do you think he'd have picked him up if it had panned out different?
No.
Do you know what? No, it's one of those scenarios. I agree that it didn't play out different. It didn't play out perfect for James Bowen. But the result would have been still the same, I think.
Without the mistake, she might have been a bit clear on Yala going there.
If she goes and wins the fourth
it's an
last,
interesting one, isn't it?
It like I say, it's quite a fascinating thing, as in because there are times where races don't pan out perfect, but the result still wouldn't have been altered. And I agree with you completely about the way it did. But I think Yarenki was. Well, he won like the race and said he should win.
All comments about Rock the Casbah as well, who was around about a remote third, I think we can say that. But the handicap of 148, you're going to drop him a couple of pounds now as well as into the veteran stage. You'd be happy with that, wouldn't you?
I think you said Philip Hobbs was lukewarm when you interviewed him yesterday, and I think that bore out, didn't it? That he was completely spot on. He travelled and jumped very well for a long way. You could see he's had a blow. Tom O'Brien has sort of looked after him and he's kept galloping well. Yeah. And that, I would imagine, will put him spot on for wherever they're targeting next.
Interesting to see where they're going to go with him. Could it be a trip to Ayr or indeed the Bet365
Especially if you're saying that Philip now thinks that better ground will suit him.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is still a race in Rock the Casbah if he keeps sound.
Well, he was kind of sneaking into it in the Grand National behind Tiger Roll when he got brought down. So it might well be another crack at
he was, again, he poured a bit of cold water on that. I said he didn't really take to it early in that, but he was warming up. He said, I don't think we're going to go back there. Old horse now, he hasn't really relished it. So I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it was the final meeting at Sandown in April where we see him.
Bet365.
Yeah, I think probably the old Whitbread Cup there. Barry, did anyone get very rewarded, shall we say, when Yarenki went all the way out with the spike at the fourth
4.9. Hit a high of 4.9 for small money, a couple of quid, but all the way down then, obviously, to 101, having ran out a ready winner at the finish. And if the cap fits, hit a low of 1.41, so 5-2 on. The winner gets gets shortened for the Grand National from 40 into 33-1.
I think that's about right, isn't it? He fell in the Beecher 2 back, of course, but he has got form around the course, and he'll give you a sight, I suppose. But like I say, I've got a feeling this is his big day in the sun.
But Kim Muir maybe as well might well suit him. He's got plenty of jumping form.
Kim Muir be ridden by professional riders in the Kim Muir.
Well, I mean, look. From a purist point of view, I hope by then it's changed back to the way it should be.
Yeah, because of course amateur riders are banned for whatever reason. You don't know that at the moment due to the COVID-19 pandemic that is still very much out there. And we spoke on the phone about this, didn't we, a little while ago. I wanted to get your steer on this. And I also asked you the other day if was it Ludlow, where we had the first Hunter Chase, if professional riders had ever solely ridden in a Hunter Chase before. We weren't sure, were we? It's happened in Ireland before, like a Pro-Am sort of thing. With Derek O'Connor's this world and all the amateur riders over there were taken on by the professionals. We think it was the first time it's ever happened.
I'm pretty
sure. You had a runner in that, didn't you?
We had a runner in that, and so...
what happened?
It's actually owned by and ridden normally by one of our great friends, and she rides plenty, but she wouldn't claim to be a great jockey by any stretch of the imagination.
So a lot of people jumped on this fact.
He was also... Look, he probably on ratings had a bit to find, but we got my brother drafted in, and I thought, what a proud moment to have my brother riding for my wife and I. Fantastic.
And that's a big angle, isn't it? From the owner to a pro.
Surely he's going to bring about improvement. If he doesn't, it's a bad old do. And we were travelling, jumping really well, very happy with the ride, and then lo and behold, halfway down the back, your
brother jumped off.
Yeah, and so...
If Ben's watching this social clip, I'm sorry, he wanted this served up for you, I have to say.
If Ben's watching this, he'll kill me, because he can be a bit grumpy at times.
Can he? I never believe that.
I was actually scared to ring him afterwards, so that says it all, doesn't it?
So, really? Bryony Frost, would she be trying to talk Paul Nicholls then to maybe a ride in the Kim Muir? You heard it here, absolutely unbelievable scenes. That was the 2:10 at Taunton and the Portman Cup. More dramatic than some of you thought it might be. Good stuff. Hopefully we'll get Taunton back on the show before we switch to the flat season a little bit later on. It's great to go to these smaller tracks, isn't it? And seemingly, with the social comments out there, that was a race you all really enjoyed. OK, we've got to go now back up to Haydock, guys. We're 10 minutes away from the Peter Marsh. One of the most interesting horses of the current year, I think we can say that, 2021, not so much the season, is Royal Pagaille. He came out at Kempton on the 27th. We were on this show, and he won as he liked. In a handicap there, he's gone up to a mark of 160. They're coming out here for Venetia Williams. Let's get the market up on the screen before we digress about his chances and divulge into the form and see if he can be indeed taken on. Barry Orr, what price is the future Gold Cup runner?
Yeah, he's 2.60 at the moment. Interestingly, 25-1 chance for the Gold Cup. So if you fancy him, he'd want to be winning this off 1.156. He's 2.60 at the moment, which is just around the 8-5 mark. 5.3 Sam's Adventure. Smooth Stepper 10.5. Potter's Legend in there 11.5. AC Milan. There's a whole host of horses with chances here. Unfortunately, Sam Brown, a non-runner. But I think I'm going to take the favourite on. He's gone up 1.5 stone. He started this season on a mark of 1.35. He won that race in Haydock, a race that we sponsored. And then obviously Kempton. Now, Kempton was a good race. He put a lot of distance between himself and the third horse, who has won since, Double Shuffle. But he got another £16 for that. He won 40 in Kempton. He's 156 now in official ratings. So if he was Gold Cup class, he'd really need to carry that weight and give the weight away here and win convincingly. When you look at the likes of Albon Photo, the reigning Gold Cup champion, who's rated 175. So he's about £20 to find, 15 odd pounds to find in terms of being Gold Cup class. So he'd really want to carry this weight. He's 256 at the moment, Ross. I'm going to take 50 quid at the backer stake at around 256. He's out to 262 as we talk. We'll put him in at 256. I think we're going to get matched at that. There's going to be plenty of money for this horse, so I don't think that's going to be a problem. And there's plenty of liquidity in the race as well. So happy to lay it at 256 to lose 78 quid or win 50. Have the field running for me.
Wow, good on you, Barry, and thanks for that. And as you've seen, if you've been watching the show so far, Barry on fire and playing for charity today as ever. And it's gone through the roof thanks to Craig Nish in the 150 at Ascot. So you've got plenty of time to react to Barry's play out there. Royal Pagal then. Posted, it's come to you with this. He was pretty impressive at Kempton that day, wasn't he? Let's just say that. You could go even further than that. This has all seemingly come out of nowhere. He has won at the course. Isn't it great to see a horse that's being mentioned about Gold Cups? Now, that might be still a little bit tilting at windmills for him, potentially. Marker 156 suggests it sort of is. But the fact they're looking at it, isn't it great to see these horses running in these handicaps? And to Peter Marsh over the years has been a race. West Tips used to run in it. All the big horses used to come here. We used to see horses running in handicaps off top weight before going to the Gold Cup.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if he actually ran in this one or the Tommy Whittle, but I remember as a kid, one man going round here with Mark Dwyer on one day, and it was, like you say, seeing these very, very good Grade 1 chasers running in handicaps. And we look, like you said, Roy Pagal, we're not saying he's that yet, but it's something you'd like to see more of, or for me, I definitely would. I think there's nothing better than seeing these massive weight-carrying performances in handicaps, and it would actually make the job a hell of a lot more competitive, I think, if we had a bit more of a culture like that, and it's something that we seem to have got away from.
This is his 11th start over fences, Ross, of course, isn't it? He's a novice, and remember last season, Venetia Williams had this horse. It was very interesting because this is the only horse that Rich and Susanna Ritchie have away from the Willie Mullins yard.
Yeah, and again, I think they, I've written the other day that basically said, if you get a good horse, give us a call, and it's always nice to know that there's someone with bottomless pockets on the line.
Do you think Venetia was a bit worried though after the first two runs when she called him and said, "I've got a good one," and then it finished, it's beaten a match race, and then it's third of three, and then in its next start.
Bear with me, Richard. Bear with me. Yeah.
I promise you, it's a good horse. Yeah.
Well, of course, it came out and beat a horse of Kim Bailey's, didn't it, at Haydock when it won? I think I wrote that day.
Espoir de
Rome, who we were hoping to see back at Kempton Lanzarote Day. That came out. But Redford Road, having bungled his way around Newbury last time, has got a good race in him, I think. I think the form will work out to be quite good, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if anything, he's one of those horses that the form's almost irrelevant, isn't he? If he's going to go on to those levels, if he did win this today off this weight, then you could be going to Newbury for the Denman Chase, and then to Cheltenham perhaps, or Bristol De Mai won this off 154. Again, if he wins this will be his second Haydock win. So you're thinking a Betfair Chase in the autumn will be.
Are you with him?
I'm not against him. I think I didn't want to take him on necessarily. I mean, what we've noticed. I've noticed. We said this week and last week, and I swerved him and only remembered afterwards. But big field, classy staying handicap chasers, 7-year-olds, younger horses have been dominating this year in bad ground. Not a chance, of course, won the Classic Chase last week, and we've got a couple of unexposed 7-year-olds. He's one of them, and I think he's got every chance because conditions are absolutely spot on for him. But I did think that AC Milan was very interesting as well. The other one for Anthony Honeyball. So it's a cracking little race. I don't want to necessarily take him on because I think he could be a proper performer in time. What's
the thing with AC Milan then? Lights the ground. He bumped into one definitely at Plumpton last time, didn't he? Fullback who's got a big race in him for Gary Moore.
He did, yeah. I guess he's almost got a similar profile to If the Cap Fits. He was a winner first time out over fences like him, and then since then he's struggled in small fields that haven't quite suited him. But the one race that sticks in my mind for AC Milan was when he got beat by Stony Mountain here, and they went a mad gallop. Stony Mountain came from nowhere. Everything on the pace collapsed apart from AC Milan. Over hurdles. Yeah. And he returns to Haydock for the first time since that run. So I think he's going to be on. He's not going to be far away. He's going to be on the speed. Conditions should be ideal, and he's an each-way play.
AC Milan for Ross then. I'm going to throw Sam's Adventure into it. I was hoping that Sam Brown would be in the race because he was a clear second favourite, and Sam's Adventure, I thought, third favourite, nice. He's got a bit of a quirk about him, can be lazy. Poste, you're nodding away. The Tommy Whittle winner.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the fact that you got that course and distance form, that they had the ability to handle deep ground, and I'd have thought the bonus of 10 stone 7 on his back, like a nice lightweight with Ryan Mania, who's been in good form in recent weeks as well. They're all positives for me.
Is it Mania or Mania? I never really know that one. You're our dialect coach today.
I'd have gone with Mania, but I mean...
Did you come across him much? Obviously
yeah,
not.
I did, yeah.
I mean, like, he always got his name wrong.
Yeah, I've always got his name. Yeah, he's probably...
Didn't talk to you much.
Well, I'd have probably just called him Ryan, if I'm honest. You know, as in,
not Maniac, which is his nickname, of course, isn't it? Yeah.
I never really saw that side to him, but yeah, okay. Interesting nickname.
I'll believe you.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so are we both Sam's Adventure?
Yeah.
Okay. Paul Keeley knows he's relatively close to the connections of Royal Pagala. I was trying to ask him in the week whether this was Gold Cup or National Hunt Chase. He won't take on Monkfish. That's one thing we know. The fact they're running is to be applauded. I said, what about this sort of ground? He said he spoke to the breeder, and the breeder sent back a message saying he's related to a couple of tractors. So he's going to go through the ground absolutely fine. What a brilliant line. And I know that Kills has had a little bit on him for the Gold Cup as well. So look, if Sam's Adventure doesn't win, I'm really hoping that Royal Pagala does. But his fortune favours the brave with this horse, isn't it?
Being straight up, if the Gold Cup is a genuine consideration and seen as a possibility, he should be winning this off 156, irrespective of carrying top.
He is a novice as well. He could potentially run the RSA.
Absolutely.
But you said about
but
the
he won't
Monkfish.
take on Monkfish, Barry, will he? So unless Monkfish stands on a stone near in Cheltenham or whatever, if Monkfish gets there, it's not going to be RSA.
Four-miler.
4 miler has been mentioned in a wet 4 miler. You really fancy him.
Just going
to say, on our charity bet, we'll cancel it because he's out to 3-1-5 now. So I don't mind laying him around 6-4, but not at over 2-1. I think he's out to 9-4 now. It'd nearly be a backer at that price.
Well, exactly, Barry. I think that totally sums up this horse. Fortune favours the brave because we don't really know, do we? We're hoping that we see something special if you're on him, and certainly from a narrative point of view, us headline writers here were like, this would be huge. You know, he will go Gold Cup if he wins like he did at Kempton. I can tell you that pretty much from all the vibes I'm getting. However, you've got to see it, haven't you? He's gone up a stone.
Yeah, all the money for Sam's Adventure was into 3.85 around 11-4. And Potter's Legend is strong as well. They're the two that are backing against the favourite, but he's relatively weak now. Having been around 6-4, he's out to over 9-4 now.
This could be a huge half an hour for Brian Addison.
Something else into the mix. Why did Charlie Deutsch not come and ride this horse?
Yes,
because if Haydock was going to be off, he could have then switched and got on to all the horse at Ascot anyway.
Where is he today?
He's at Ascot.
I'll tell you why, because Espoir de Guy wins the 3 o'clock at Ascot.
Who Paul Keeley is absolutely
maybe
all
that,
over.
and he's got a good place chance in the big race, and they might have thought this was going to be off, would they, Charlie?
Good
but
shout.
then my feeling is he could have switched straight over to Ascot and jocked off the lads or girls that were on his horses at Ascot. So I don't know. I'm not saying that's a factor.
Can
but
you
I just
get in
find
helicopters these days? I don't know if it's the done thing out there.
But what I mean is, if Ascot had if Haydock had been off, he'd have just gone to Ascot anyway, even if he'd have been on Royal Pagala.
That is interesting, and we should also mention, this is a big ride for Tom Scudamore as well. I'll check his record for Venetia Williams, unless of course you know it.
I haven't checked that one.
All right, okay, I will check that out. But Tom Scudamore, he's been the go-to man. Do you remember Cloth Cap, of course, in the Ladbrokes Trophy?
Absolutely. I was going to say, as a jockey, though, a ride in a Grade 1 where you genuinely think you've got a chance, is that not always the biggest factor?
Maybe.
Well, we're about to find out on Royal Pagala, Ross Brierley, if that's how we say him. Dialect, please. Royal Pagala, how is it out there? He's dropped anchor in last.
He has, but to be fair, everything else is onto the pace, so I'm not sure he had much of a choice, really. Down the inside, then here comes Creve Hill. Sam Twiston-Davies went from the front earlier on in the novice trial and got chinned, and he's trying to cross over to the lead here. They're not going to particularly strong gallop. It didn't look like there was too much obvious pace on paper beforehand, and Creve Hill takes it up from Just Your Type on the outside. Potter's Legend, Le Manva Pippin, Sam's Adventure, who remember I fancied when he won here at Haydock last time out, and he got an early reminder, and I'd written him off after 2 furlongs. So he is a quirky sort himself, and he's actually travelling much better this time around than he was early doors last time under Ryan Manier. Dropped out last AC Milan with Royal Pagal, the 2 7-year-olds, the 2 youngsters up against the older performers, and the only one we haven't mentioned is Smooth Stepper, who is on the inside and already been niggled along, but he is a thorough stayer.
For Alex Hales, who's carried these colours of Fagan, who's a good winner for Alex, a friend of the studios, in the week at Newbury as well. He's a Dow stayer. In fact, he won the Grand National trial, didn't he, Smooth Stepper? So maybe that is his stepping stone coming up next month as well. I'm here.
You're here all week, yeah.
I am indeed. Potter's Legends in here. He's quite interesting, isn't he? A horse that will keep going, Ross. One of these veterans that we see.
Yeah, and Silk's already been carried to victory today at the track as well. So the owner, going for a double. Plenty of interesting horses in here. Interesting to see Tom Scudamore move the favourite up now on the wide outside. To maybe not give the rest of them too much ground, but Creve Hill and Just Your Type are out in front, leaving a fair old gap between the two of them though. Royal Pagal now going very wide here at Haydock, and behind those, and AC Milan almost lost Rex Dingle, and Smooth Stepper made a shuddering error at the back as well. So 2 fairly poor jumps, one from a novice, which you'd expect, but Smooth Stepper, he should know better.
A commentator showing where his money's gone as well in this. That was a real one, wasn't it, Hunty? And that we hear Enzo doing it all the time, of course, on this show. He's a shallow individual. So he's watching. I know he's watching today. So listen, if you're on Royal Pagal at the moment,
such a low blow.
Happy days. If you're watching Royal Pagal at the moment now, then guys, I mean, you're looking at Sam's Adventure. Tom Scudamore, he often gets pigeonholed a little bit, doesn't he, as a jockey that likes to get on with things. But you go back to Sky Pirate when he won on him at Cheltenham, a couple of weeks ago. He shows he could do it anyway, didn't he?
Yeah,
the temptation. I'm saying is the temptation if you're Tom Scudamore is to go, come on, let's do this.
But is that not the temptation? Is to probably look at the trainers that he rides for, who prefer their horses ridden prominently. So it's like anything. You try and carry out the sort of preferred instructions of the people you're riding for, and David Pipe certainly, and the likes of Tom Lacey, like people that get on with it, don't they? So Tom Scu rides that way for them.
Creve Hill was the horse in the Highclere colours here for the Twiston Davis team. He coming down the weights, Creve Hill. He's a horse that tends to pop up at the season. He's going enthusiastically at the minute. Let's go to Barry Orr then as we go past the winning post for the first time then, Barry. How's the market reacted to the favourite, first and foremost?
Yeah, the favourite, when they looked like he was going to be dropped out, he drifted out a little bit over around the 5-2 mark. He's a BSP at 5-2, actually 3.50, but he's into 286 now, so he's 15-8, 4.3 Sam's Adventure, 11 Lavender Pippin, and Potter's Legend is currently 12. But favourite's still relatively strong. He seems to be travelling very well.
Of course, if you're on Sam's Adventure, you'd be pretty happy as well, I think, wouldn't you? Because you're getting £21, stone and a half from this chap at the moment. You've got the inside. No lazy traits today so far. Yeah,
it's a funny one though, isn't it? It's some with horse, you see horses who sweat up and win, and then they don't sweat up and they don't perform. And you wonder sometimes with horses like Sam's Adventure, when they switch those lazy traits off, are they going to?
But sometimes they need to race lazily to be seen at their best, because they actually need that ridiculously overstrong gallop that's forcing them to race lazily. And it could, I'm not saying it is a negative, but it could be viewed as a negative, the fact that he's actually travelling so strongly, because maybe means that he's not going to get the pace and the collapse that he wants.
Well, I mean, last time out it was Brian Hughes as well, so it was a perfect ride for Brian Hughes that day, wasn't it?
He was brilliant on him, Brian Hughes, that day, because he showed different sides to his game. A lot of people think he's a bit of a bridle jockey, Brian Hughes, and when he let down, there's not always that there, but he had to show everything that day.
I think sometimes he is a bridle jockey, but he said to Sam's Adventure, he said, look, you're not messing me around here, and you're going to do it my way, or...
Favourite into evens.
Favourite into evens as he just about takes up a share of the running then. So is it an ominous sign for the rest of them? Let's go back to Ross Brierley then, as what, there must be about 6 out.
Yeah, it is. Sam's Adventure has lost Ryan Manier, and let's see, he almost got a kick there as well. Let's hope he's okay. But yeah, Royal Pagal is now odds on and travelling ominously well with Potter's Legend on his outside. Creve Hill has lost a position.
Get your fingers on the Gold Cup buzzers, lads.
Oh my word,
AC Milan's gone.
That was a crunching fall, that really was. Again, fingers crossed the jockeys and
Tell you
horses
what,
are up
chaps,
okay.
I'll tell you what, this is a classy animal, Posty, isn't it, Royal Pagale?
Well, I mean, the way he's gone through the race is incredibly classy. I mean, now we need to see if he's got the stamina reserves on this ground to match.
This is all over. I'm calling this because they go into the home straight. I mean, I've got form.
You've made the mistake already. Let's see if you can
This
learn
is
from
absolutely cruising, this thing.
He is cruising. He's come down to the near side of Royal Pagale then. But Potter's Legend and just the Your Type are his two main rivals, but his main market rivals already departed. Lovely jump there from Royal Pagale, and he's still not come off the bit. This is reminiscent of Bristol Demise, is it not? At this track, very much so. Just Your Type in behind them with Potter's Legend still plugging on. Back in fourth, we've got Creve Hill who's still going, and Smooth Stepper might run on for that place and challenge the early front runner Royal Pagale, as Just Your Type and Potter's Legend, both of who didn't jump that fence particularly well. But Tom Scudamore still hasn't come off the bit here. He's not asking him a question yet, and he thought Cloth Cap was easy at Newbury. Well, Tom
This
Scudamore,
is absolutely ridiculous. I know Sam's Adventure's gone. But
this is some performance. He is not. He's got gears we haven't even seen yet.
Massively exciting, isn't it?
I mean, again, whether it's to Newbury, to Cheltenham, but I think a Betfair Chase.
They're both carrying 10-4 and they're out of the handicap, and he has jumped them absolutely silly.
He's miles clear into the home straight. Tom Scudamore's looking between his legs.
Woo!
And he can barely see his rivals. Potter's Legend is plugging on for second place for Lucy Wadham and Jack Quinlan, but they aren't in camera shot. Royal Pagale has bolted up, and that is possibly, I'd say, the most impressive chasing performance we've seen all season.
Whoa, Ross Brierley nailing his colours to the mast. Before we go to Barry Orr for the story of the market and an anti-post quote or two, Charlie Post,
well, he's going to be getting 10 to 14 for that, isn't he? So all of a sudden he's high 160s, if not 170 after that. And what impressed me most was the ease of which he went through the race as well. I mean, he looked completely comfortable from start to finish, and it was very, very authoritative, wasn't it?
Yeah, and Tom Scudamore, he's
11 to 5.
The quotes from Tom Scudamore are going to be key. Andrew Dietz will pass on immediately, our man on the ground at Haydock. If we can't get him on the phone, don't worry, we will be getting the quote here first on Racing Post Live. What has Tom Scudamore just sat on there? The reason why I love that, because he sat off at the back. You might be right, Ross, what you said earlier about, they were all vying for positions, and he maybe didn't have the pace going. But the plan was obviously, look, Tom, you're on a rocket here. We've gone up to a mark of 156. It doesn't matter. Just don't get into any trouble. Do what you want on him.
I think you can get into, again, too overly, the amount of them that in theory want to make the run in these staying chases. They're in staying chases because they're all pretty slow. So by nature, no rider really wants to just give away ground.
This isn't slow at all.
No, but what I'm saying is, he's on the one that's the improver, the young horse. So he's gone, do you know what? I actually don't need any part of the early pace battle to see who's going to be where. I'm just going to follow him early. Yeah. I'm going to wait till the race sort of settles down, and then I'm going to manoeuvre into the position I want. And I'm in cruise control the whole way, and he dictated the race as he saw fit.
Now, if you jumped in with Paul Keeley when he suggested in the Racing Post a couple of weeks ago, this might be one to be on. We weren't sure whether the Irish horses might come over. Imperial Aura, for example, another Keels horse, got an entry as well. Well, it looks like they're going to come over, but will they be tempted now, Barry, or to go down the Blue Riband route?
He's 14 from 25 for the Gold Cup so far, and the next quote after that, he's 7 to 2 from 7 for the National Hunt Chase. He hit a high of 3 in running, would you believe? And he's a Betfair SP of 3.50, which is 5 to 2. So he was a massive drifter, really, in the greater schemes of things.
I mean, you said before the race, Barry, you wanted to lay him and then he went out to a price where he was almost backable. And
let's try and temper some enthusiasm a little bit. Sam's Adventure obviously was the one, probably, no Sam Brown. Sam's Adventure was the one in the market, the Tommy Whittle winner. He would have kept going, wouldn't he? So that would have made it interesting. But
I mean, he's the next horse in the handicap is almost a stone inferior to him. So
AC Milan came down, obviously.
Yeah, luckily Rex Dingle got up because that was a should run.
We were delighted to see that in the corner of our eye. Right, our man on the ground, Andrew Dietz, will pass on what we know about Royal Pagale as soon as possible. He's into a skinny price for the Gold Cup. Does he go there? Let us know your thoughts. Have we just seen a Gold Cup, or have we seen the winner of the National Hunt Chase? Doesn't look like he's going to take out what was the RSA. There's your result on screen. Potter's Legend running another blinder. The old veteran there, and Just Your Type there. Honest front-running performance from him puts him back on track for Charlie Longston, but in a different league, a stratosphere, wasn't he? Royal Pagale, and it would be. I mean, if there wasn't a Grade 1 today, he'd be on every front page in the land, wouldn't he?
They say that money doesn't buy you happiness, but it does buy you
He's
a
got
lot of
some
very
luck
good
on Rich,
horses.
hasn't he? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, no, as in whoever is buying from. I think Harold Kirk buys a lot of them. They have to take a lot of credit because, like you say, it's not like Rich Ritchie has 150 horses like a Gigginstown or a JP McManus.
I said that they're all in the Mullins yard. Of course, he has had horses on the flat as well. I'll look into that, but I don't think that's gone too well. Jamie Osborne had one, I think. I think it might just be still running actually, but he has had a couple. I know. Did Henderson have one as well? Henderson might have had one as well. Might have Bumper or something, he might have had.
Yeah, I think he did have a. Yeah, you're right. But
This was called famously though at the start of the season the Only. Maybe that's not in training anymore. I don't know, but look, this is a very powerful operation, and they might have just struck gold here.
And you make a very valid point about tempering enthusiasm because he much as they're nice handicappers, he probably hasn't beaten an awful lot in quality. But sometimes you have to look beyond that, don't you, and look at the way a horse goes through a race and finishes a race off. And this was one of those
just all
situations
class.
and he looked like a different. He looked
You
like
could have called him
3,
6
4,
out, really.
5 levels above.
And the way that he went through the pack out wide and just said, oh, you know what, I think I'm just going to go and join in now, guys.
But what's it? I mean, again, Bristol de Mai won this and then went to Newbury. What, he might beat Santini, and that's it. Maybe. I mean, if you are
for a Denman chase?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, crikey, you'd be fancying him strongly in something like that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the big thing with him being Venetia trained is that if the Gold Cup ends up, we get a dry enough spring, then I'd imagine that's going to come into the equation. But something like a Denman where you normally get soft ground.
And I think, but this, 2021 Betfair Chase is absolutely tailor-made. If that, again, the horse I was watching there was thinking this is Bristol de Mai Mark II in terms of the way he went through that race.
And taking him to Ireland, surely.
Yeah, well,
Lexus Chases and Irish Gold Cups and things like that. I mean, where you're normally guarenteed very slow conditions.
Venetia's not afraid to campaign either.
Send him to Willie.
Willie Mullins is thinking, clear that box. Let's get him out.
Let's have them all back in one place.
Barry on. Okay, look, what have we just seen there? Is he a Gold Cup horse? Should they go down the National Hunt route? Will he run again before the Gold Cup?
If he beats Alboon Photo on the run-in, then Willie might have something to say.
Well, quite, yeah. But interestingly, next week it is a big race at Doncaster where Captain Orr, who was second to that, a clear second to that at Kempton, is hopefully going to run. So we will get more on the form.
The form was there as well, wasn't it? Like we saw Double Shuffle win since as well, and he was beaten out of sight and
hosed up.
Day.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So look, this could be. I don't think we're getting too carried away.
Well, we're not because he's going to have to be graded class because handicaps are going to be out of the equation now.
And what an advert for the Venetia Williams yard! Not afraid to run cracking horses in a handicap company. She's, this is what you might call an aggressive campaign, I think. And let's hope now that they don't have to lump massive weights these Grade 1 horses in handicaps that we start seeing it a little bit more. It can only be a good thing, I think.
Well, again, when you consider how some of those graded races cut up, Dave and Ross, like we've been looking at some really poor graded races, both over hurdles and fences. Yeah. And if they can ditch some of those graded races and ask horses carry more in handicaps, and you get good fields, they're rewarded with good, strong each-way fields, and it's better for racing and it's better for the sport as spectators.
Yeah, we're around about 40 minutes away from what used to be a handicap, of course, when it was called the Victor Chandler Chase. It's now the Clarence House Chase. The Grade 1 used to be a handicap, of course. You saw a Zertiep take on Izio. Do you remember that was, I think, the last time they did it, and it was, wow, what a race it used to be. But.
Well, again, in certain grades, the 2-mile chaser, you were saying about them being maybe a stagnant grade, but over the past sort of 20 years, you've had some incredible groups of horses go head-to-head, and that's the frustrating thing with the Gold Cup group, as it were, because they can just race on their own almost. They can take in a trial each. It's like the Champion Hurdle in exactly the same way. They all have their own little trial. They go for odds on and they go, let's have a crack. And the only race we've truly seen that's been, the King George was an absolute cracker, but it was still a fairly strange renewal in the grand scheme of things. You want to see these horses go up against each other at least twice a season, and not just waltz round. I want to see Santini versus Royal Pagale at Newbury, and whichever one comes off second best, it doesn't mean they can't go and win the Gold Cup, does it?
We've got another cracking race coming up, of course. Thanks for that, Ross. Absolutely. And you mentioned Espoir de Guy. Should we just get that out of the way that you really fancy this thing? Because Charlie Deutsch must have been watching that in the weight room, posting thinking, I'm an Ascot.
Are we taking this race? Is it
the 3 o'clock at Ascot?
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, let's get the market up. Okay. We are.
It wasn't an IT. It's not a live race, is it?
The 3 o'clock.
It is, yeah.
Is it?
It is. Ross,
Yes, it is, yeah.
Ross has had a shocker.
Yeah.
You're not
it is.
commentating on this one.
I was really. I looked at the running order and I thought,
We're just waiting for.
You fancy a Sparta Guy anyway, you're all right.
I do,
He
do.
is
But I was
running,
thinking,
don't
the
worry,
one
yeah,
horse
yeah.
I really fancy isn't on the live race. I'm so
Absolutely
confused.
unbelievable scenes. What did you do on that train on the way down from Wetherby? I do not.
Slept.
Stretched his legs. I'd imagine. There's hardly anyone on it.
I forgot to put the pick in the email, so I apologise.
does run in, and we are taking the 3 o'clock despite Ross thinking otherwise. At Ascot, it's lucky he fancies one strongly, isn't it? Because Espartaki on a comeback mission, Paul Keeley fancies that strongly as well. That was in his Saturday Sizzlers in your members section and in your Racing Post. Let's see where he sits in the market. But it's the Tristan Davis camp, isn't it? I think, Barry, that's holding the market key at the moment with Good Boy Bobby.
Yeah, Good Boy Bobby, relatively strong for the double green, 4.9 at the moment now. So he's been really well supported. 6.8 Benny the King, Exploited Gee, 7.6 along with the Thrasher. And Jerry's back has been well supported. He's into 9.6 now. So he's probably the best backed horse in the race. But what I'm going to do here, Ross, Dashel Thrasher, there's going to be a lot of pace on. He likes to get off in front of Dashel Thrasher. Esproy Gee likes to be up there. Good Boy Bobby likes to be up there. But I'm hoping that he can get off in front and hopefully get a bit of a solo. I'm going to back him. We're going to have 50 quid on him to win. And I'm going to look to get a few quid backing him in running at maybe around the 2-1 mark. I wouldn't mind laying 50 quid back at 2. So if you select the keep bet function for the lay bet, when that goes in play, our bet will still be there looking to get matched. So looking to green up here.
Okay, all right. That's the play then, basically. Ross is getting. Are we on?
We're on. We're on in the race that I knew all along we were going to be talking about.
I like Windsor Avenue in this. A horse who comes back in trip from what I think was a very good Roland Merrick, which we saw here on the show Wetherby, behind Canelo and Snow Leopardess. He absolutely cruised in contention there. I'm slightly worried that he's lost the winning form, the winning habit a little bit, but I think this is just a perfect scenario to warm Brian Hughes up for the big race. The Clarence House and waiting patiently in around about half an hour's time. Posty.
I'm a keen like Barry of Dashel Thrasher. I do worry about the amount of pace in the race, but I like front runners round Ascot, especially over this sort of trip. The form with Itchy Feet on the last day was very good, and he's a progressive young horse, but this is wickedly competitive, and you can make cases for plenty of them, in all honesty.
Okay, yeah, all right, fair enough. So wide open. Again, Ross, Espoir Guy.
Just a proper course specialist, and we were in again with the race last time out where he stepped up to 3 miles behind Mr. Malarkey. He was sent off favourite for that. He made a couple of pretty bad mistakes, but again, I was calling that race, and I remember saying, this horse is getting back into it, and I have no idea how he managed to get onto the heels of the leaders again. He's got some engine, but he just didn't get home. The trip, those mistakes have cost him. But this is absolutely ideal for him conditions-wise, and not the worst bit of a boost to see the yard have a staying handicap chase winner only 5 minutes ago.
When you've got to be thinking, like whether you're joking or not, Charlie Deutsch has got to be thinking, I want to be winning on one of these next two, because it's going to be a pretty ordinary Saturday without it.
Well, absolutely. So, okay, we're not that far away from a cracker then. We are up to race time up. We just come up to 3 o'clock here then. We've got a couple more coming your way. Don't worry about that. We'll be giving you lots of build-up for the Clarence House chase. Are you with Politolog, the champion chaser out there to follow up the Tingle Creek? Or was it a substandard version? We're waiting patiently. Be rewarded for turning out quickly, or will something else come and do it? Defi Desoy, whoever would have thought he'd have been a forgotten horse after winning the race last year. Cannot wait for that treat that's coming up at 3:35. We've got a quick social for you before they jump off at Ascot. Who is it? Andy Sim. Good to see you, Andy. Dashel Thrasher ticks all the boxes. Back on form last time, was it? Just whether he gets taken on early, I think, by anything.
What we're looking at here as a walking in mind is we've got 11 of the 13 runners.
What are you saying to each other at this point? Are you like, hang on a minute?
Basically, again, it's the same tonight. Everyone wants a handy slot. Not all of these want to make the run-in, but they're not going to sacrifice ground. So it's going to be very interesting. You're going to want a couple of sharp jumps over the first two obstacles to get you where you want to be before this race settles down. Yeah,
okay. I was looking to see who that was. It's Conor Brace, of course, for his uncle, isn't it? Dave Brace on Colorado. Doc is way out wide there. This is a proper battle for the lead if they all line up. It's almost like it's a standing start, although they're not standing.
Who's taking the honours here?
Go for it, my friend. Seeing as you knew we were doing this, you must have studied.
Absolutely. They're off and racing then over at Ascot, and this is going to be thick and fast, that's for sure, as they come up towards the first. It is Dashel Drasher, who didn't jump that particularly well. It's in behind. We have lost one at the back. Trying to work out which one that is. I think it's Colorado Dock, which you mentioned just before, has lost its rider. Touch Kick out in front then. Touch Kick. Not the best
Dashel Drasher, Benny's King following.
Benny's King in behind, and Charlie's going to take the call here.
He's shown himself to be versatile, Poste.
Absolutely.
I'm just spotting here for Ross.
That's it. Yeah. In behind we've got Johnny Sofa, Young Wolf on the inside as well. Espoir de Guy is tucked away in about sixth possession with Windsor Avenue.
They cannot keep this up, can they, these two? I mean, Dashel Drasher has been lead at all costs, I'd imagine. This is the
But if those speed figures are right, he's not going that quick.
Do you think that the jockeys, you're in the choice of whether you take him on and you rush your horse up now from a position to try and use a bit of energy to get on the heels?
Exactly.
Either the others can't go the pace of being very slow. Yeah, go on, Barry.
I'm just saying it's interesting because they put a lot of distance between the second and third, you know.
Yeah.
So, he's got a bit of a solo up front now, Dashel Drasher. He's into now. He's currently 4.2, so he's your favourite at the moment in running.
And what you have is a lovely part of the race now where you're rising slightly uphill to the finishing line. So if Mcgrath now can take the pace out of it and let the horse fill up, then you immediately swing into the back straight at Ascot, which is downhill.
Yeah.
So you're expending very little energy the whole way
I agree
there.
in theory, that sounds absolutely right. And I'm often wondering when I'm watching these races, from a jockey's point of view, you're like, right, I can't keep going at this pace. You know, I need to fill him up. But do horses respond to that? Do they think, oh, right, okay, no, I'm not right?
That depends on the horse. Some are more responsive than others. So
exactly.
if you're on a horse that is responsive,
so in theory, that's always the thing you should do, isn't it? But
of course,
certain horses need that stoking, don't they? You've got a theory about Politolog, of course, and Harry Skelton. His aggressive way of riding at times has really suited Politolog. Harry Cobden back on today.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, look, and this is taking nothing away from Harry Cobden. He and Harry Skelton are both excellent riders, but they do have differing styles, and so it's going to be interesting to see whether Harry Skelton has been part of the rise of Politolog and it almost his upturn in form over the last 12 months, or whether it's just been down to Paul Nicholls and the way that he's tweaked his training.
Dashel Drasher then is still miles clear here, and I think for a second there, Barry, I thought you might get your lay match with 2 miles to go, but he's the field are just coming onto his heels a bit. He's coming back a little bit with Touch kicking behind. Then we have Espoir.
Jumping out to his right.
He is jumping out to his right a little bit. I think he's
left, boys, left.
To his left, sorry. Yeah. In behind then we have
Shockers abound today, don't they?
Like I said, I wasn't prepared for this race at all. Good boy, Bobby on the outside then, coming into it with Windsor Avenue. Espoir de Guy, Johnny Sofa in behind there as well, with Benny's King. Again,
good boy Bobby's travelling, isn't he? I think the anti-post fav.
He is in the Simon Munir Silks behind those. We've also got Jerry's Back, and coming
talented
from
horse, Jerry's Back.
The rear, trying to make a bit of ground is Louis Vac Pouch as well, but Dashel Drasher is still out in front from Touch Kick. And Windsor Avenue, Espoir de Guy, Benny's King, trying to get into it is good boy Bobby. Jerry's Back catching the eye in the McManus Silks as well as Dashel Drasher keeps it up then. How's the market looking here, Barry? Is Dashel Drasher? He's still out in front. He's looking a bit wild and crazy with some of those jumps though.
He's a horse that just has one way of running, doesn't he? And as we've seen when he won here, previously, I just wonder about Touchback. Has he just kept him a little bit honest?
What he could do is cause a lot of problems in a minute, though, because Mcgrath keeps going back to the inside rail, which he's well within his right to do, and then jumping out markedly to his left over every obstacle. So the riders following through are going to have to make a choice here. They either wait till he goes left to try and get up his inner, or they're going to have to come round him at the right time.
And these fences on the far side, Posty, they are absolutely key. They can catch so many out. Windsor Avenue's not enjoying them.
Not at all. And these, like you say, these are a pivotal part of the race. You wing these now and keep filling it up with energy, and it can make a massive difference to the finish. Dashel Drasher just galloped through that one, as I said.
Yeah, and so Benny's King, the horse that only wins second time out, Ross. Do you remember him when you put him up on the show last time? Where's Espoir de Guy?
Espoir de Guy's just lost his position a bit. He made an error and he's dropped back. But again, he does tend to run on. He does tend to hit this weird flat spot and then come back again. So Dashel Drasher, Benny's King catching it on the inside. Then Touch Kick, Windsor Avenue, Jerry's Back. Espoir de Guy lost his position.
Not getting into it at the moment.
We're matched anyway. Our bet's matched in running.
I'll tell you what, listen, could we see another front runner winning here, Barry? I'll tell you what, this is not coming back, is it?
He did this last time, though, didn't he?
It's evens Jerry's Back and 7 to 4.
Wow.
Dashel Drasher, then Benny's King, touch kick, Jerry's back. Again, Regal Encore won under these silks, a similar race earlier on in the season.
This would be huge with Defy Desoy in mind if he could get up.
Dashel Drasher has kicked on though and looks to have the race in safekeeping here if he keeps
Dashel.
jumping. Dashel Drasher, Benny's King, Jerry's back. Espoir de Guy running on maybe for a place, but it's Dashel Drasher. Benny's
going.
King throwing down a challenge though. Harry Skelton, it's Dashel Drasher versus Benny's King. Dashel Drasher is wandering around down in front. He needs company. He needs someone to keep him honest.
up and over.
The last
Come on,
Dashel
my old
Drasher.
friend.
Benny's King,
Ah,
Jerry's
it's all
back.
over,
In
boys,
front,
all
Dashel
over.
Drasher still
Yes.
pulling out more to beat
Yes.
Benny's King, who
Go on,
keeps him
boy.
honest up towards the line. But Dashel Drasher
aye.
for Jeremy Scott. If I didn't know Barry was still ahead of us slightly, I might well have got a bit more excited in the finish.
Well, Poste liked him as well, and that put him a little bit at ease as well. Well done, Charlie and Barry. Dashel Drasher. He was too short for me when he went 3-1 Barry early on, but they just aren't coming back in these chases on Saturdays, are they?
They're not. Charlie said he loves a front runner around Ascot, and he was kept honest for most of the way by the 12-horse touch kick. But I suppose he's just beaten them fair and square at the finish. He had them all in trouble turning into the straight. We were matched, so we'd have green book in the race, which means we didn't care what happened. The winner won us 240 quid. And if anything else had won the race, it cost us nothing. So that was a nice position to be in. It was stress-free jumping the last. Interestingly, when you came to me with two to jump, Jerry's back was as low as even money. He's been matched at a low of 1.57, which is for 46 quid. So just 2-1 on, which is unbelievable considering for my money he never got into contention.
He was a big eye catcher there, though.
I was just going to say, like, the first run since 2019, I think maybe,
Yeah.
like, as in that there could be a target for that somewhere down the line.
Oh,
you know?
he loves the soft ground. He's got a really good engine. Again, I've been mentioning I spoke to Philip Pobbs yesterday. And again, he was a little bit, look, we just want to get him back and get him up and running. But the way he moved in there, the fact that Barry says he went even turning in, he's got a big following, this horse, because he is very talented.
Just give credit to Matt Griffiths there as well. I mean, Dashel Drasher does not look the easiest of conveyances, and he's pretty headstrong. He likes to jump violently out to
This
his
is
left.
Matt's big horse, of course, really, isn't it?
And
now?
Bear Gillis now
Of
as well.
course.
So, you know, a couple of nice Saturday horses
Bear
for him.
Gillis.
Again, another rider that's not that high profile, has been around a long time, always been well able to ride, and
33 for the run,
is sort of showcasing that on a big Saturday. So fair play to him.
Well, let's have a look at the previous winners of that race at Ascot going down. Because did I just mention here, you mentioned a big price for the Ryanair there, Barry, did you?
Sorry, 25 and 33 for the Ryanair, Dave. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, so who's won this in the past? So Searname, of course, won this in 2019. Tattanen would be the other notable winner, really, in the match. So, look, we can see a good one. He's won that off 152. He's bang, 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 isn't he? We know he can win on other courses as well. Jeremy Scott, good to see his horses turning the corner as well. Dashel Drasher, we know a few of you were out there as well. Congratulations, happy days. The penultimate race at Ascot is all about the 3:35, of course. That is Politolog against Defy Desoy. Having watched Jerry's back run well, Philip Bobbs is informed. Any of you going for that out there? Last year's winner, or are you waiting patiently for Brian Hughes to double his career tally in Grade 1s? Let us know. We've got to go back to Haydock, though. Small matter of a champion hurdler turning up. It's Bouverdare. Let's get the market up. Where on earth is he trading, Barry Orr?
Yeah, at the moment, Bouverdare is currently trading at 1.66, so 6 to 4 on, 3.8 Ballyandy and 7.2 Navajo Pass. He's the one that's been all the money's been for, interestingly, Dave. We saw him on New Year's Day up in Scotland when he won impressively in a handicap, but 1.67 Bouverdare. I don't know. I was looking to take him on if the price was right, what I sent in to the guys who were building the graphics. I'm not sure I want to take him on. I wouldn't have wanted to take him on at the 178 mark or around the 4 to 5. I think he's going to get shorter and shorter. So we're going to put into lay him, please, Ross. But I'm looking to lay him maybe at about 155, a little bit over 1 to 2. So at 155, I'm happy to take 50 quid of the backer stake at 155. It's not a race I have a massively strong opinion in. I'd love to see Bouverdare come back. We haven't seen him since the Betfair Fighting Fifth when he had that bit of splint that was lodged in his foot, and it's great to see him back, but he's got it to prove for me that, especially on this ground, that he's back to full fitness. I don't know whether they're going to have him well wound up for this. You know, the other two are really race fit, and at 155 around that mark, I'd be happy to lay him, but nothing bigger than that, really.
So you want to keep it in running, do you, Barry?
I think we might get matched beforehand. I don't need to keep this bet in running now. Let's see how it develops, and we can make a call on it then.
He's
With 5 minutes before the off.
Thanks, Barry. He's hardening on course. So Barry's reluctantly sort of taking on Bouvardere, but it's a tough pitch coming back off the layoff like this and winning in graded company. There were some stats sort of banning about at the Post yesterday, and it's not good on paper for Bouvardere, but we know this is a serious horse. Before we get the panel's selections for this 3-runner race coming up at Haydock, I want to give you a couple of quotes that have come through from Andrew Dietz. I can't get Andrew back on the phone now because we're a bit short on time, but Venetia Williams down at Ascot along with Charlie Deutsch. But Tom Scudamore has come in, and a really interesting quote. Hell of a thrill. Handled the ground very well. Very taking performance. More interestingly is the end of the quote from me, chaps. The world is his oyster.
Wow.
Royal Pagai. That's Tom Scudamore.
Yeah.
Charlie Poste.
Yeah, I mean, look, Scu is someone that can be quite sort of effusive with his praise, but I mean, still, to say after winning a handicap of 156 that the world is his oyster is really putting it out there as in and look, Tom Scudamore's ridden plenty of good horses. He's ridden plenty of good horses this year alone. Yeah. And to say that is praise indeed, I'd have said, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. The world is his oyster. Does that mean we've just seen a Gold Cup runner this afternoon, and the Peter Marsh? Absolutely fantastic scenes. Thank you, Andrew Dietz, for that quote coming through. You can get all that, of course, in your members section from 6 o'clock. You get the tips for tomorrow and going forward, and the digital edition is available to you at 9 o'clock as well. Go to the analysis, check out what our analysts are making of that as well. Do I reckon he'll go there, or will he be a short price favourite in the National Hunt Chase? I'm hoping he goes Gold Cup, actually, because I've got a nice position about next destination. So from a selfish point of view, yeah, I'm not just trying to build a narrative here, go Gold Cup. Yeah, which you can have a bit of playfulness with as a Racing Post journalist, let me tell you. But
I mean, like there's an element. Does he lack a bit? Does he have a bit much class for a National Hunt Chase now? As in, I mean, not that I'm saying that good performers can't win that as well, but the way he travelled round there today, granted on bad ground, but over 3 mile one, he didn't look like an absolute.
Rich hasn't got anything else for the Gold Cup, has he?
And Andy did the same at Kempton. He travelled with a lot of ease, and I'm not saying he wouldn't stay the National Hunt Chase trip, but it would be a factor in your mind, I'd have thought, no?
Oh yeah, very much so. The ground, you imagine, is somewhat dependent to him. So,
Ross, just trying desperately to work out, because I can't imagine you're getting many 5-year-olds in races of this nature. So I was wondering what the record was for 5-year-olds in Grade 2s over this trip over the past few years.
Navajo Pass you're talking about, of course.
Yes, yeah, because the other two are a bit long in the tooth in comparison. 14 from 72, 19.4% strike rate. You would have lost 22 quid, but the last one, of course, was Song for Someone.
Barry Orr put this chap up to when he won, of course, on New Year's Day at Musselburgh, you remember, on the show as well. Likely pace angle, isn't he? Which Ballyandy likes to get on with as well. Last year's winner. And it was that famous photo from last year, wasn't it? When Pentland Hills, the big drifter, the Triumph Photo winner, on horrible ground. We're watching now in the corner right. Yep. Nico de Boinville, ping on the last. Off we go, no problems. Ballyandy, 3 lengths down, a little bit like we saw Manila Drama earlier on the card, who got reeled back. I still don't think he's won in that photo.
Yeah, it was a
having back Pentland Hills at a big price.
We've seen a couple of
101 he was done at that day.
It was remarkable, wasn't it?
I mean, it's not the first time you've seen a Haydock race finish like that. David Pipe had a handicap hurdler last year, I think.
Buster,
wasn't even in Buster. Not
Buster
Douglas,
Collins, I want to say, Buster Collins.
Something like that, yeah. But he wasn't even in
That was one of the most remarkable commentaries that you've ever seen. It was proper out the telly, wasn't it?
Gareth Topham, I'm friends with, was calling. We were talking about it the other day, and he said, from his vantage position, he was like, "I'm glad that's the favourite, because if it was anything else,
I think it was Buster Collins.
No idea, but yeah, I wonder. The interesting thing for me is that whether Bouvardere beaten by Cornerstone Lad last time we saw him, and I wonder whether another heavy ground specialist, a grinder who's going to make him work, might well expose some frailties.
Are you with Bouver, or is it one of these? I mean, I can't play in a race like this personally. It may
be in money.
Yeah, it's not the worst back. I mean, Navajo Pass isn't the worst back delay, is it? Given what we saw with Manila Drama early, but
looks like he's going to take up the running as well, doesn't it, for Donald McCain?
It's one to watch.
In really good form. But lots to find on the figures. We thought he might even go for a Coral Cup or something at the time. Navajo Pass. That's what we do here on Racing Post Live. Of course, we like to try and play around with mapping horses for big targets and all that sort of thing. But of course, we know these big races are in their own right great prizes to win. Tristan Davies is on a 6-timer in this race. Wow, thanks to the new one who the race is named after as well. Isn't this going to be a treat then, seeing Belvedere back? I think I might take this tricky call. I don't know. I might adopt.
I think
the
you're up to the
commentator's
task,
roster.
Dave.
Do you think I am?
Yeah.
Belvedere.
Just remember what happened last year, though, and what happened earlier as well.
Yeah.
It could happen again.
Don't call the run-in, you mean? Okay, noted, chaps.
The best when you hear these commentators get slated just for calling a photograph wrong, and you called it 100 yards out.
Absolutely. I started
He'd
off
left
in
the
greyhound
commentary
racing.
box.
Yeah, he's already walking back down.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's quite solid in the market then, Ballyandy, and they are far off and running as Belvedere anchors out the back under Nico de Boinville, who would have been looking forward to this, you imagine, since they started getting him back and track. Absolutely amazing, Nicky Henderson called his away day. But I tell you what, Navajo passes, woo, what a jump that was over the first by the young 5-year-old there, Sean Quinlan, having the spin on a really enthusiastic jumper there. That means he's gone around about 6 lengths clear of Ballyandy, jumping the second. So this is going to be a proper nice workout, isn't it, for a Belvedere, Ross Brierley?
Absolutely. I mean, given the way they've just pinged those first two, I think if you didn't know, you might say the one in front was the champion hurdle winner from days gone by, because Navajo Pass is absolutely winging every one of them. Belvedere looks, unsurprisingly, a little bit rusty, and Sam Twiston-Davies, I imagine, is just hoping exactly the same thing unfolds this year as it did last year.
He was one of the best novices, and when he won his first champion hurdle, he was one of the best hurdlers I'd ever seen. He reminded me of like Isabrak and horses like that. This is Belvedere. He used to get in so low, didn't he? Epatante, they say, does something very similar. And of course, then he whacked that third last when he met that shocking defeat in the Christmas hurdle. And he, again, after that, you remember when he beat Samco in the Fighting Fifth, he walked through the last that day. As, of course, we saw in the Fighting Fifth against Cornerstone Lab, but he just failed to reel it back when he came back with a bit of birch in his leg. The jumping, again, he fell in the champion hurdle, of course, didn't he?
He did. He jumped those first three fine, though. I mean, I think what you've got here is Donald McKay and Sean Quinlan have obviously decided they want to expose any frailties in the race fitness of Belvedere, and they've gone off very hard early. Little bit of a pace drop now as they enter the back straight, and then I'd imagine he's going to start turning it on again from a fair way out and try and see if he can expose any fitness weaknesses in the favourite.
Well, it's certainly a test. Sometimes for these three-runner races, Mickey Mouse is bandied about. Barry Orr then as they go on to the far side. Navajo Pass, really enjoying himself.
Yeah, he's 5.6 now, Dave. He had a Betfair SP of 5.4. He was matched at a pre-race high of 13.5, so all the money's been for him. Ballyandy is around the 3-1 mark. Your favourite 8-11 now, 1.71. He's still travelling well in himself, Belvedere. I don't think we've seen anything too significantly yet.
Okay, thanks, Barry, then. All right, so Belvedere, again, he's not just going to have it easy, not at all, isn't he? The fact that Ballyandy looks posty like he's not comfortable on Belvedere, is he? He's being made to race.
Do you think so? As in, I honestly think he's travelling and jumping pretty comfortable as from an early point of view of a comeback. I don't think there's any.
I don't mean Boover. I said Ballyandy. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, Ballyandy.
He looks like he's
Ballyandy's
he's racing a bit,
a little bit on and off the bridle. If you were picking a fault in any of the three, but right now I don't think a lot's unfolding.
I'm not trying to call the. I've been told not to call the race on the far side.
Don't be jumping to their guns too early. You know?
They're turning around this right angle of a turn then into the home straight, and this is where now Nico's going to have to ask, of course, Boover to pick up. He's going slightly wide on him as well. He's getting £6 for Ballyandy, who of course he's rated £6 superior to. But Navajo Pass kicks off now. Sean Quinlan. What's the market saying there, Barry, with 3 to jump?
5-2 Navajo Pass. It's a long way from home there, though, in Haydock. 3.4 Ballyandy and 1.92 Belvedere.
He has gone out in the run. Then if you were playing in running, is now the time to get with him. He absolutely winged that one. Ballyandy, as was the case last year, looking beat. But we know he finds the line. Navajo Pass, when will he empty? Now Nico's going for him. Ross Brierley.
Yeah, the one in front, he just keeps pinging them, doesn't he? And, we're saying about 5-year-olds in these races. I'm not sure there've been many 10-year-olds
Boover
either.
was very clever there, 2 out.
It's his class that's going to get him through here. Sean Quinlan is obviously gunning on Navajo Pass out in front, but if Belvedere, they try not to make the same mistake that happened with Cornerstone Lad last year.
Here we come to the last then. Ballyandy, I think we can finally say he's gone. Navajo Pass, first semblance of an error. He's not stopping. Here comes Boover, though.
He's not
is he
going
to get past?
He's not gone past.
All over, said Barry.
Two's
Oh,
on
not
Navajo,
quite. I tell you what, this is a shock defeat by the looks of it. The young 5-year-old Oh, wow, he's actually giving £3 to Bouvardere. Remarkable. Bouvardere then. Those stats about returning after a year off in graded company. They remain really sticky, don't they? If anything, you could say it was a good comeback. Unless, of course, you took the price and you'd be a bit deflated. You thought it was a certainty coming in here.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I don't want to hear too many excuses from that. I mean, I think it was a very good ride.
Yes.
You know, a good
Silver Streak-like, wasn't it?
A good bit of placement from Donald McCain. And Sean Quinlan has gone out there and he's exposed maybe a fitness advantage over Bouvardere. But, like, being honest, Navajo Pass is rated 149. Bouvardere is a 2 times champion hurdler. He's having to give him weight. The fact he couldn't have picked him up, I mean... He might come on for the run. I mean, he's going to need to more than come on for the run if he's a champion hurdle contender still at the age of 10.
Well, that is obviously going to be very, very difficult to do. So, look, we'll get the post-race quotes for you as soon as we can about Bouvardere. There will be a fallout. But hats off, absolutely, to Donald McCain. He's got another little one there, as he Navajo Pass horse that stayed really well on the flat, Ross Brierley. And like Silver Streak did with Epatante, who was sent off a 6-1 on shot in the Christmas Old. If you're going to get these horses beat, go from the front, make them work.
Well, as Cornerstone Lad did to Bouvardere last year, he must be getting sick of northern trainers showing him their backside, I think. In terms of, like I said, I just had a quick look in terms of going into Grade 1 company. 10-year-olds and older who've won over 2 miles in Grade 1 company. Only 3 of them over in the past 15 years, and they're not bad horses. Hurricane Fly, Brave Inca and Hardy Eustace. So if Bouvardere's going to have to do it, he's going to have to join a trio of greats.
I think the hope was that they'd maybe, if they could get him back to near his best, and it's a substandard division still at the moment. The fact that Silver Streak, lovable and classy as he is up there, you know, price-wise. Tom Segal putting him up as the each way bet of the race. You know, a horse that's been beaten there a few times. It shows you that younger brigade still to really get there. The Irish are looking a little bit cold still, aren't they?
But there's always a day where the tide turns, isn't it? And Bouvardere himself did it to My Tent or Yours. So it was exactly that handing over of the baton to a younger contender. So who it is obviously the trickier question. But it wouldn't surprise you to see Epatante beat Bouvardere in a 1-2 at Cheltenham, would it?
No. Listen, like you can say, My Tent or Yours used to turn up back there, didn't he? Nicky Henderson, the one thing that he's extremely good at, no matter what you think of, you know, the way that the media operate with him and some of the, you know, this Altior, that, Epatante, that, you know, the outgoing gold, he gets horses to win at the Cheltenham Festival. Yeah. Sorry, Barry.
Was Nico per there? Should he have been getting after him a little bit earlier to close the gap?
I wonder whether he had Pentland Hills in his mind from last year.
I mean, look, I think you can question the distance that they've given the front-running Navajo Pass. I mean, the only thing I would say is he was weak through the last 50 yards, Bouvardere, as in from getting onto the tail of the winner.
It just looked like a horse that came there, showed his Class 2 out, didn't he? And then... Okay, anyway, look, that was Bouvardere defeated, then Navajo Pass 4-1 shot. Donald McCain, another big winner for him in the Grade 2. We're going to have to move on, Barry, because we've got the Clarence House Chase coming up. I'm delighted to say we can go to Ascot, actually. Our man on the ground there, top racecourse reporter, Lewis Porteous. Lewis, are you there?
I'm here, Dave. How are you?
Oh, superb. Good to have you on, man. We had Andrew Dietz up at Haydock earlier telling us it was a bit like a ghost ship up there, but giving us some good stuff. Royal Pagard up there as well. What have we seen at Ascot this afternoon? How is it there, Lewis, at the moment? Is it literally just you there?
There's a handful of us from the press. Obviously, we're very privileged to be here, but it's just not the same, Dave. It's very quiet, and it's just such a shame on such a great day's racing that we can't get some people in here, but that's the way it is, and at least we're racing. And like I say, I'm one of the lucky ones to be here. You
are one of the lucky ones, my friend, absolutely. And I think if you were lucky to take the Tritonic anti-post Triumph quotes before the first, Lewis, I think we've seen it. Have we seen a proper Triumph candidate in the first at Ascot there today?
I think we probably have. He's thrown his hat into the ring. Adrian Eskin, very complimentary afterwards, just saying this horse is only going to improve from that run. He was finished very strongly at the line, and he thinks he's got the right blend of sort of the gears and the stamina to feature in a Triumph. So that's very much seems to be where connections are looking, and it was a good start, first attempt, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. He's a classy sort. We know that from the flat as well. We've got the Clarence House coming up then, Lewis. Any vibes? I mean, it must be really difficult at the moment to get any vibes. How many connections are actually there? I assume Nichols is there, of course. Ruth Jefferson must be there as well. How does Deffy look? Have you got to look at Deffy on the ground?
he's just walked in now, to be honest. I'm just at the paddock side. He's looking well, a bit on his toes. He looks up for the job, but it's not really, like I say, the crowd here to get the blood pumping. But he looks fit. Philip Hobbs has been here for a good few hours pacing. There's no Nichols here today, but Harry Derham instead looking after that one. But I had a quick chat with Harry Cobden earlier, and he just can't wait to get back on Politolog, and he's obviously the one to beat. I think that as well.
Cheers then, Lewis. Great to hear from you. We'll be hearing throughout this year, hopefully every big Saturday. Lewis is one of our top racecourse reporters. Good to get a line on Deffy. Enjoy your time there. Enjoy walking around. I would say go to a bar after racing, but I imagine you're going to be getting in that car rather sharpish. Okay, Lewis.
He's in already.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Cheers then, Lewis. Happy days.
Cheers.
That was all pretty smooth, wasn't it? Not too
Yeah,
bad.
very good.
Fair play to the guys in the gallery. Thanks to Lewis and Andrew Dietz today, our men on the ground. We're going to be really getting in with these racecourse reporters. So, had a word with Harry Cobden, Politolog. Really looking forward to it. Should we see where he figures in the market? He's going to be under 2-1 still, Barry, surely, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, Dave, for sure. Sorry, I just get it up here. He is currently trading at
Whoa, right.
2.38. So
Wow.
he's 11. He's 11.8, 3.95, waiting patiently. Defi de Soy is 6, and Fanny and Destravel 16. I thought Politolog was the worthy favourite without a shadow of a doubt, the Betfair Tyndall Creek winner. Waiting patiently, he's not a horse. He's like, for a 10-year-old, he's talented but very delicate. I mean, some record in 14 races, 7 wins, 4 seconds, and he's been third twice. The only time he was out of the placings, he was unseated in the King George. But he's dropping back to 2 miles here, and I'm not sure that's going to suit him. It seems just smacks of desperation for me. So I'm happy to take him on. I'm happy to take Defi de Soy on. Just like we've seen with Boober there, he needs to prove that he's back to something near his best. If he was, he'd definitely figure here. But I'm happy to take a chance with him. Politolog, I think, is going to take a bit of beating in the race. Paul Nichols says on his blog on Betfair, he's as well as he's ever had him. So that's a pretty big statement from Paul. The horse I like in it, though, to place is Fanny and Destravel for Venetia Williams, ex-French horse, only having his 5th start for Venetia. Travels strong in his races. The rescheduled Peterborough chase that day, he traded at 2.9. It was second behind Magic Saint and Cheltenham the time before that. So I think he could run into a place at a decent price. So if we go to standard place terms here, which are 3 places, Ross, he's currently trading at 294.
Yep.
Yeah, around that mark. So we're going to have 50 quid on him to place. So basically, I think waiting patiently and Defi de Soy, there's question marks with them. I think Fanny de Destravel travels well. I think there's a big chance of him running into a place at around the 2-1 mark.
Thank you, Barry. Venetia Williams, of course, on a high with Roy Pagaille. I can tell you that Lewis Porteous spent most of this afternoon running around trying to get a quote from her as well after that race as well. So I think Lewis did, though, so hopefully we'll get that in and you'll be able to get that in your members section as well. So it's only Tom Scudamore, of course, up at Haydock, but Royal Pagaille, we will have words from Venetia about where he may go. And Fanny and Destravel, he's a right old monster, isn't he? If only he could just cut out those errors.
Yeah, I mean he had every chance last time out, didn't he? When he came down. Again, that's even if he won that race, it's form that has to be hugely improved on to beat the top 3 here. But both him and First Flow have put in figures and performances that suggest, as we said, sometimes the baton gets passed, and you've got 2 10-year-olds at the top of the betting here. So it is potentially that time.
Shall we talk about 10-year-olds? Because you've been itching to get this out, haven't you? You got a quiz question for us.
Well, I wonder if you can... So, since 2006, 2-mile chase division, Grade 1s, there have been 7 winners, individual winners, aged 10 years old or over. Some of them are obvious. There's a couple that might be more difficult. Charlie can see the screen.
He was doing his very best not to get the eyes down there.
I named 2 of them before we even started.
You went for the easy ones, didn't you? You went for
Sprinter Sacra
and
Undersow.
Yeah, Undersow, of course, won this as a 10-year-old.
Yeah, so he won 3. He's won 3 races over 10.
Alciol's could be out there, isn't he?
No.
Nope.
Well, Chief, or is that too early?
It's not too early, but is it? I don't think it is too early, but he's not on the list.
Moscow
Flyer then.
Maybe it is too early then. No, he's not on my list.
Wow. Okay.
Last 15 years we're going for.
So in the most recent period.
So we've got Sprinter Sacra Undersow you've got, going back just around the World Chief era, there was an Irish 2-mile chaser, won the champion chase once.
Newmill?
No.
Ooh, goodness gracious me. This is where you need Barry to
Bright
come
purple
in.
silks.
He's gone quiet at Barry, hasn't he? He's
What was the question? Are we talking about the Champion Chase or the Clarence
No, we
House?
say which 10-year-olds have won grade 1 2-mile chases.
10-year-old or older won a Grade 1 2-mile chase since 2006. So there's some big names and there's a couple of surprises.
People are screaming at the telly at us, aren't they, as well, probably. What was the Irish champion chaser that won as a 10-year-old?
Big Zeb.
Big Zeb.
Zeb,
Who's going to remember that?
Colin
No one's gonna
Murphy,
remember
yeah.
that.
Barry Garrett.
Alan Murphy.
We need Keith Melrose here. He
There's
always say.
another chaser who's won three Grade 1s aged 10 or older.
Go on.
Size in Europe.
Size in Europe. Of course, he came onto the scene late, didn't he, over fences as well. It's all there when you hear it.
The ones you wouldn't have got.
Finian's Rainbow, was he up in trip by then?
I think he was up in trip by then, yeah. Well, a Northern, Nicky Richards, won 2 of them.
Not monos.
No, the lad that won in Ireland.
Ned's.
Simply Ned.
Simply Ned. And then Henry de Bromheads won the champion chase when Duvan fluffed.
The Noel Feely,
Special
Tiara.
Special Tiara.
The ill
And the last one, you're never going to get it. Flemon Star. But so it's
Andrew Lynch.
Yeah.
So again, going back through the records, there's not that many of them.
And we've got two 10-year-olds that are filling the top places. So will Politolog rise his name into that folklore? Who'd have thought Big Zeb would have been up there? But he is indeed. He was a sun tall on his day, Big Zeb. Anyway, so Barry thinks Politolog will probably win. Happy to take on Waiting Patiently. What are you doing out there? Who wins? Is this amazing, isn't it? We were chatting when we came into the studio earlier on. Brian Hughes, just a 1 Grade 1.
Yeah, I mean, I find that quite a phenomenal statistic for a man that's ridden as many winners as he has and been champion jockey and dominated. But it probably shows, with the greatest respect in the world, the dearth of Grade 1 talent in the north of England.
It doesn't seem any sensible reason for it, really. Let's see some socials on the screen then. We've been asking what you think, and here we are. Rock and Roller AT says, Deffy to bounce back and win to the Clarence House. You heard from Lewis Porteous at the track. Philip Hobbs been pacing around for some time. I think there is quite a bit of pressure on him. Really hoping to see him, as is Frizzy Red, come back. Deserves another chance. Deffy to we'll get a line on that for the panellists then. One more coming in. Money Draycock comes back. Deffy again. Lots of love for Deffy then. Barry, we didn't think he was going to go this big in the price. What is he at the minute?
No, he's currently 6 point. Last time I looked, he's trading at 6.0 now, 6.0. So he's a 5-1 chance at 6-4 Politolog, 11-4 Waiting Patiently, and 5 Deffy. You know, it gets any bigger, he's a backable price nearly. You take a chance that they have him right. By all accounts, any soundings from the stable seem to be quite positive. At his very best, he would beat these without a shadow of a doubt in my book. But that's what you're betting on, really, that he's back to his best. I'm sure they'd be happy with a good run here and a clean run with him into the Cheltenham Festival. That would be, I'm sure, their primary goal.
We did say also, thanks Barry, in that breath earlier when we were chatting about Brian Hughes and the Grade 1 of the Clarence House, if you're on a Deffy de Soy, if you came second or third, you know, you'd be getting quite keen on him for the champion chase, I think, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, look, if he finishes second or third, it's a step back in the right direction.
Exactly.
You know, as in, so
this is a horse that can bounce back. We've seen it many times before with him.
Yeah, I mean, he went missing after the Triumph Hurdle season, didn't he?
And
big
after
time?
he'd made an inauspicious start to life over fences at Cheltenham November meeting on his chasing day, became hacked out at Exeter next time, and it was all happy days after that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think he was 9-1 when he won the Holden Gold Cup or something. He was a big prize.
He just felt lifeless at Cheltenham when he reappeared, of course,
and
in the Schlur.
Bouncing back to form this week.
Yeah, and Jerry's back ran well, didn't he, in the previous race to 3 o'clock as well. I'm with Politolog. I just think he's guaranteed to run his race. The last time that Waiting Patiently came out within a month, in fact, the 2 times he's done it in his career, when I was looking down his profile, he has won. He beat Q-Card, of course, Census, when he really arrived on the scene. Of course, he won really well at Kempton, didn't he? Had an easy race that day. Did he have an easy race in the King George? Can he do it, Ross Brierley?
I mean, he's definitely got the class to do it, yeah. It's just whether it's his track position, isn't it? I think there's loads of stories in this race. You know, the Harry Cobden factor getting back on. Is he going to get the same tune out that Harry Skelton's got? Yeah. Waiting Patiently dropping back in trip. Deffy just saw him coming back from that disappointing run. I have absolutely shirked all those issues, and I'm back in first flow to finish in the first 4.
Who somehow won at Wetherby last time, despite doing what he does. He either comes off the bridle or he takes offence with him.
But going this way round is going to help as well. Like
he
always loves to shift right, doesn't he? And I think Dave Bass was superb on him at Wetherby.
Dave Bass has been brilliant on this horse. When you look down and see that he's won his last 5 with the problems he's had, Kim Bailey,
I mean, if you stop those races 2 furlongs out and you think, how are this horse is on a winning streak? But for me, it's speed figures. He runs pretty much the same speed figure every single time, and that's only a couple of points off what is enough to actually win this race. So, given that he loves the track, we've seen Ascot is a core specialist track. I think above even money for 4 places is a decent bet.
Happy days, fair enough then from Ross Brierley. OK, we're with Politolog, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we just think he'll run his race. Looking at the tactics, First Flow is saying, I'm going to give you a little think about it. We thought, no, the 10-year-old lovable Bundoran, not quite up to this class, but he likes to get on with it. For Tom George, Sean Bowen lining up there as 100 to 1 Bundoran. And Duke de Geneva, nearly got that badly wrong. With Dale Jacob and Paul Nicholls on second string, obviously, for Paul. I think we could say that. One thing we have got right, looking at the way they're lining up, is he does like to get on with it, the Duke, when he put it up to put your kettle on his return in the Schlur. But they're not going to take on Polly here, are they?
There's no way, and we're often, Politolog is bowling along in front.
And he absolutely full of himself to the very first fence then. Off and running for the 2021 Clarence House Chase. He wings it, Politolog. First Flow keeping him honest up front. Waiting patiently. Right back Downing trip, isn't he? A horse that they used to ride cold. He'd come with that burst. And he is right up there in fourth as well. Fanion Destraval. Can he put it together? Tom Segal, price-wise, is hoping he does there today. He's in midfield. Defi Dezoy looking on from rear. The Patriot, another one of the big outsiders. He comes into it form for Dr. Richard Newland. He's been held up a little bit more than often. But then Duke to Geneva, what's he going to do this day? Because he has been ridden absolutely cold. We're not used to that then. We're into the home straight for the first time. Let's go to Barry Orr. I imagine the market says it was, Barry.
No, the favourites come into 2.16 now, so just nearly 11 to 10, Dave. He's an SP at 2.44, nearly 6 to 4. 3-9-4, 3 to 1 waiting patient. He definitely soil is a 6 to 1 chance, and it's 16 Fanion Destraval. But the favourite hardening all the time off the back of the soft lead.
Isn't that fascinating? How revealing the Betfair Exchange is. So many people obviously waiting out there to see would Politolog get taken on. Now that he hasn't been, I'm going to get involved. You can only do that, of course, on
odds
the
on
Exchange.
now, Dave.
Gone way odds on as well. I'll tell you what.
192.
Posty, let's go to you then as they go out onto the far corner. He's not hanging around.
He's not hanging around, but he's a champion chaser. He's got bags of toe. He's jumped very well early on with Harry Cobden back on. As they turn down the back, you're very happy if you're a supporter of Politolog.
Absolutely. First Flow, I'll tell you what, he's jumping quite well so far, Ross Brierley, isn't he, as well? You'll be happy with your place bet.
Well, again, given the way the races have unfolded at Ascot today, you don't want to be too far behind, and he has got the perfect sit. He is still jinking about a little bit, as he tends to do, but he's the only one who's keeping tabs on Politolog, who, again, front runners have tended to dominate. Waiting patiently is much closer than he was at Kempton, that's for sure.
This is a great way to get waiting patiently. Maybe any chinks in the armour. Coming back from maybe a bounce, you're going to get him at it, aren't you? And he's not jumping brilliantly. Defi Desoy's going to have to make up some ground as well, as First Flow and Politolog now take each other on.
That was an interesting move from David Bass, wasn't it? He suddenly said, well, look, you're not having it all your own way here, Harry. I'm going to see what happens if I rustle you up. And
he goes to the front.
Into the lead.
Yeah, OK. What's the market saying now then, Barry?
Yeah, he's back out to odds against. He's 2-3-0 now, so 11 to 8 to favourite. You've got Waiting Patiently is currently a 3 to 1 chance. First Flow into 9.2. And he's a Betfair SP, to give that some context, at 9.2 of 17. So, an interesting move that he's going to take the favourite on like that now.
And Richard Johnson says on Defi Desoy, come on then, let's think about picking them up. So we're around about 5 out in the Clarence House Chase and Politolog. Oh, he dived at that one, Posty, but he's just about clinging on to the lead. Defi closing.
He paddled at that, but it didn't seem to stop his momentum. Defi Desoy is absolutely swinging in third, coming through and behind them.
OK, and Fanion Destraval, he's also warming up a little bit, jumping a lot better today. The Rags are indeed looking beaten. David Bass firing First Flow into one. He responds, we know he stays. Politolog, though, back on the bridle. Harry Cobden going to take him wide, get him out of the battle. Now Defi Desoy starting to squeeze a bit.
This is a huge move from David Bass. I mean, it worked with Dashel Drasher. He looked like he'd done too much, and he could have this race. He could have nicked this.
Yeah, it just looks like Politolog. What will he respond? We know Politolog stays 2 mile 4. They're entering the home straight, waiting patiently. What's he got in the locker? Defi now looking beaten. Fanion Destraval, will he have a say? Harry Cobden has not gone for Politolog. Will that move on First Flow pay off, or is he falling in a hole? It looks like now Politolog is about to take his scalp again as we come to the second last then. Ross Brierley, call it!
I think First Flow's still got more in the tank, and he's in the right position at this track. They haven't got
Could
past
be set
horses
up for
from
a
the
closer,
front.
though.
I'll tell you what, Politolog, what an attitude he's showing to come back here. Because waiting patiently, he doesn't like it up him. Fanion and Destraval no good, but First Flow keeps going on.
Go on, David.
It looks, I'll tell you what, Ross Brierley, could this be your big day in the sun? He's up and over.
He's
This
won.
is it.
He's
I'll
won
tell
by
you
a
what,
mile.
Politolog sprouted absolutely at the final fence. This is a performance here, isn't it? First Flow, unbelievable scenes. David Bass, take a bow. What was the horse we saw at Weatherby last time all about? Going back this way around, he has his big day in the sun. Politolog, no answer to that aggressive move. We'll get the panel's views on that, but let's go to Barry Orr for the story in the market.
Politolog hit a low of 1.87 and 188 over 200 quid matched at 188. Unbelievable. Obviously, your winner, First Flow, he was a high of 25. I'm sure people thought at one stage that he might have been doing a little bit too much too early. 147 quid at 25. The others never really got into it. The likes of Waiting Patiently and Deafy the Soil. I think Waiting Patiently just held on for third spot.
A horse that has had so many problems, but was that all about tactics? Let's go to our ex-jockey then. Charlie Poste, tell us all about David Bass's moves there.
I think it was a fantastic ride. I mean, he's obviously pinpointed the fact that he doesn't want Politolog to have it all his own way. Politolog, to me, kept jumping out a little bit to his left as well and allowed David Bass to get through on the inside of First Flow. And my only concern was that in trying to beat Politolog, whether he's going to set it up for something coming behind. As Ross said in running, it's not really been a day for closers with the ground being as holding and as hard work as it is. And look, I actually don't want to take anything away from the performance of First Flow because this was a massive step up and it was a mighty performance in its own right. But it was aided probably by a very, very good tactical ride, taking into account the way the race had been run today and his main market rival. And Dave Bass has executed it to perfection. 156
he came into this rated, Politolog 169. So from a handicapping perspective, Ross, what are we going to do with this? Just tear it up or...
But again, so in terms of his speed figures, Politolog, I've got doing a 71 when he won at Sandown, and I've got First Flow doing a 69 when he won here at Ascot. So there's not a great deal in terms of the actual time-wise performance, and the confidence of David Bass there. I know it is an amazing ride. It is a perfectly timed ride. He didn't let Politolog go too far clear, and he made an executive decision to say, "I'm taking this race. It's mine." But he's still won. He's won a Grade 1 by 9-10 lengths. So
we said at the start of our preview for this that we knew that Politolog was most likely to run his race out of all of them. Has he done that, Posty?
Like I say, it's so easy when, in theory, there's been a shock to undermine the performance. But I would argue that Politolog probably hasn't ran quite up to 100% of form, but First Flow smashed them. So you've got to accept
back in third there, you can see,
it's a major step up again from him, and he's a very progressive horse, isn't he?
You will get all the quotes from Lewis Porteous. We know he is on track. Bailey will be waxing lyrical. This horse, when he started as a novice, Hurdley, you remember, they fancied him if it had been Soft Ground Supreme. There was a lot of love for him, and he had that injury, didn't he? He went off the map a little bit, somewhat lost his way, I think you can say. And as we said pre-race, he usually has a tendency to make you worry in the race. Hit a spike on Betfair, none of it this time.
Well, this is the thing. I don't know if it's, fiddling around against inferior horses. He kind of loses interest or things don't work out for him. But there, he's gone finally.
He looks the part as well, doesn't he?
He's got a beautiful coat on him. And Kim Bailey could have a Champion Chase and a Ryanair this year.
Well, Imperial Aura, of course, trying to get back, who goes straight to Cheltenham now as well. Lack of races for him, Kim says. No lack of races, of course, so far for First Flow. Another aggressive campaign paying off.
12-1 from 50-1 Dave for the Queen Mom Champion Chase. Your winner, First Flow. Politolog 8-1 from 5-1.
Fantastic stuff. So look, it's alive, isn't it? It's all about Chacun Pour Soi. Will Chacun get there? Will he get up the hill? If not, we're talking about another wide open Champion Chase.
Just what we were going back to earlier, though. We've seen two horses now who have got genuine chances in Grade 1s who have come from handicapping ranks. So all this nonsense of, there aren't the races for them, or, we're going to keep them for this race to keep them for that race.
Absolutely.
You can win handicaps, you can go through the ranks, you can take each step at a time, and you can turn up in a Grade 1 and you can bolt up by 10 lengths.
If you have to wait for these Grade 1s or the smaller races, Charlie, I suppose these horses are finely conditioned, aren't they? They keep dancing the dance.
Do you know what I think it does as well? It makes them tough.
Yeah. Absolutely.
The way he responded when Politolog came back up was really
hard
impressive.
Because when he won the Castleford at Weatherby, he's had to battle, and it does seem to to put an edge on them. And then he's come there today in graded company. He's not giving lumps of weight away all round, and he's put in a sparkling performance. Whether he can win a champion chase remains to be seen. I mean, where you would like to see him is in the Tingle Creek next December, wouldn't you? Right-handed round Sandown, soft ground.
As a 10-year-old.
Exactly.
Yes,
Charlie, is he a perfect ride for David Bass? Because David likes to get on with it, doesn't he? He's a good aggressive jockey. Is that horse a perfect partner for him?
100%. Like, you hit the nail on the head. Some riders get pigeonholed unfairly. David Bass, I don't think he's ever seen a short-strided offence in his life. You know, I mean, he sometimes you watch him and it makes you wince, and sometimes when it goes wrong, it can look horrible. But there's no doubt with a willing partner, Dave Bass rides at a fence like it isn't there, and he doesn't see a short one. And a horse like that's tough and hardy and scopy, it suits him down to the ground.
And you watch back the replay, which you'll be able to do around about 15 minutes time, maybe a bit sooner in your members section. Watch the replay back of that. As Dave goes past the post, he's motionless really, but just about 5 or 6 strides after, he's really, it sinks into him then, doesn't it?
But I could be calling. I presume that's maybe his first Grade 1 winner as well, Dave Bass. And you know, Kim Bailey and him have become a formidable team in recent seasons. But I can't think of a Grade 1 winner he's ridden for Kim Bailey. And
you're thinking about Barters. Did he win a Challo on Barters Hill?
Good shout, yes he did. Yeah, he did. Yeah. But it might be the first one with Kim Bailey, who's been a big supporter of his for a long time. And
it's all up there.
If they've come in there with a game plan and executed it, then satisfaction. And rightly
great
so.
to see. We've seen some great stories. We've got a social comment before we dissect some of the beaten horses in the Clarence House. What have we got coming up? Joe Holden, good to have you back on. What do they do with Deffy now then? Like clockwork. That wasn't even in my ear, that one. I was going to ask you about Deffy Desoy. What do we do with him now? That's a proper searching test, wasn't it, Ross? And he showed his class when he came into contention, but from 3 out, he was kind of walking, wasn't he?
Ryanair? I mean, if he can't keep up with the 2 milers, then maybe we need to give him something else.
But he was back
to think
off.
about.
Well, it's only actually 69 days since he's. It seems like a lot longer than that when he.
But he won the Marsh, didn't he? So has he just been taking advantage of races that are suiting him over 2 miles? Is he actually better over a little bit further?
I completely agree with you, and I think that's where they're going to have to go.
Yeah.
The only thing I would say, he looked like he travelled pretty well today. But then his finishing effort was very tame, which I would say was a slight disappointment for me. But I don't see they've got any other option now than experimenting with going up in trip, because the last 3 runs, it definitely isn't happening at 2 mile. And off the back of that, is he going to win a champion chase? Not a chance.
He jumped big, didn't he, on his return at Cheltenham as well. I wonder if that thinks, that he might already be at it already after the first fence in it come March. Just
another point that we mentioned earlier on as well. Apart from Cragnech, the handicap hurdle winner, every winner at Ascot today has either finished first or second at the track before. And again, we were talking about aiming horses. It's not all about Cheltenham. If you've got an Ascot horse, come to Ascot. Dashel Jurashi, obviously we've just seen First Flow there. They've won handicaps over the course and distance as a trial at the big one. So it's not all about that one meeting in March, and you can win countless races at other top class tracks.
Could he step him up in trip that or something for like the Ascot Chase next month then, potentially? Or do you think he's a proper out and out 2 mile of this?
Who First Flow? I think his style of racing would suggest that you could, but he wouldn't be the first horse look to Altior that has that style like of a sort of grinder that you think would find it easy going up in trip. And maybe what he just loves is Dave Bass and a very aggressive ride over 2 mile. And he wouldn't be the first one that then doesn't stretch out, even though you think he might. So
he's had a couple of hard races as well now, hasn't he? That obviously wasn't a soft race as well. So we'll see about that. What about waiting patiently? Then let's chat about him. He might well go back to the Ascot Chase now, because having again moved up. I just thought on the far side when the 2 leaders, great to see that, wasn't it? Started locking horns. He's just exposed his fencing a little bit, and he had to work really hard to get into it again from 5 out. What
is going to be an interesting thing is whether Waiting Patiently can put 3 runs together in close. They've
got to start getting on with it now, though. If he's sound,
they've got to. But that's where the Waiting Patiently is going to let them get on with it. I mean,
of course.
The Ascot Chase 2-5, you'd say is an absolutely obvious target for them to go for. I mean, I haven't got his form up in front. I don't know whether he's ever put a period where he's had 3 runs within sort of 2 or 3 months.
You'd have to go right back, wouldn't you? I think to get that. Yes, he did actually at the very start of his career, when he was with Keith Reevely, of course, which is seems like a long time ago. So waiting patiently. Barry, you kind of knew, you took him on, didn't you? You were happy to. Been a good afternoon for you, Barry.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think we won around 600 quid for the charity, so
Lovely
that's
stuff.
nice. They benefit from that, although we didn't nominate a charity just yet. So
It's the Borough
Are we
7, isn't
sticking
it?
with-
Have you written a cheque already for the Borough 7s, have you?
no, not yet. So I was going to let it all add up and just do it for December and January together.
Fine. Yeah, okay, that'd be lovely. Yeah, the Borough 7, I
Borough
think
7.
we're happy to keep with that, which, it feels right to be with that at the moment. So the Borough 7 charity, check that out, borough7.com. I think you
Another
still join them,
600
actually.
quid for them today.
Happy days, 'cause I think we were in the black with them already. So Barry, great to have you back. We'll see you next Saturday for Doncaster.
Always a pleasure, lads. Thanks very much. Thanks, Charlie. Ross.
Cheers, Barry.
See you later,
Thanks
Barry.
for showcasing that exchange so well, giving us some laughs along the way as well, Barry. Great to have the big hitter from Betfair on. Charlie Poste, another great afternoon.
Yeah, it's been brilliant fun and some quality racing. Yeah, some
Royal Pagol, Gold Cup or National Hunt?
Gold Cup for me. I think I'd have a go, and I think we've also seen a couple of tactical masterpieces in Sean Quinlan and Donna McCain at Haydock, and
Big
just
word for
there,
them.
Kim Bailey and Dave Bass at Ascot.
Happy days. Ross Brierley, obviously personal highlight that was of you, but Royal Pagol, Gold Cup, should we go for it?
Yeah, why? I mean, you've got to, haven't you? You've got that kind of horse. He's just absolutely bolted up. Like I said, it'd be nice to I'd like to see him at Newbury because I think it's a perfect stepping stone. It's in a few weeks' time. He's still very lightly raced. And again, we want to see these decent graded racers have
Do a
decent
Coney
graded
Gree,
fields.
get on with it.
Get on with it, absolutely. Why not? He's 7 years old. I mean, what are you waiting for?
Yeah, absolutely. What are you waiting for? Well, we're waiting for March, but before that, we've got so much good jump racing coming your way. As mentioned, we'll be at Doncaster, weather allowing, next week. Then we'll be off to the Dublin Racing Festival. Then we're going back, of course, up to Newbury. It's all happening here on Racing Post Live.